Vacation of the pledge. Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we so appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, to gather together in the spirit that you provide for us, to do the best that we can for the citizens of our town, our area, and all that we affect. We pray for your guidance and your blessings and your mercy, and we're so thankful for this beautiful season. Every day we wake up and we say, thank you, God. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, we have before us an agenda. We are now on Roman numeral 4, additions, deletions to the agenda. Are there any, first off, is there anyone present who would like to speak under unscheduled public comments at the 3-minute speaking period? Morgan? Please add Morgan Earp to Roman numeral 6. Anyone else who would like to speak who is not present, or who is present, sorry. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. Under agenda item K, the water tap ordinance, we are going to remove that from the agenda this evening. We hope to have a little bit more information before we met this evening. We've not been able to pull that information. And in order to make sure that we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed, we want a little bit more time, and we'll bring this back to you all in April.
Okay. Thank you. So under Roman numeral 7, we should delete K, water tap ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda? Members of council? Okay. Is there a motion to approve
Before we
the?
do that, Rod, can we move, under 4, can we move B up to A and A down to B?
We can. So under Roman numeral 4, we'll approve the minutes first and then have an authorization to pay the bills. Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Any other additions or deletions or changes to the agenda? Members of council?
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda like it's
Okay.
presented.
All right. Rick makes the motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Laura makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, Amanda, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. Thank you. All right, we're now on Roman numeral 5, scheduled public comments. This is a 5-minute maximum. I will ask Jordan, would you mind to be a timekeeper for us, please?
Mayor.
Mayor Curry.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm so bad. Please forgive me.
Because we switched it.
Okay. Well, I'll just move right on. All right, so do we have, you should have the minutes before you. Special call meeting minutes of January 29th, the regular scheduled meeting minutes of February 13th, and the public hearing minutes for February 13th. Does everyone have those minutes in front of them? Thank you. So we have the regular meeting, the special call meeting, and the public hearing minutes. Do you have any corrections that you'd like to make to these minutes, please?
If everyone's good, I'll make the motion to
Okay.
accept like that.
Hearing no suggestions, there is a motion on the floor to adopt the minutes as presented, 3 sets. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Laura makes a second. Any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Next, we have an authorization to pay the bills. You have before you the check register. And are there questions about the check register? Do you have one, Rick?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I have a few questions.
Okay. Laura?
I had a citizen question that I don't know how to answer about the all of the charges for like the reffing the games for the rec park. Does that money come out of those basketball fees?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is there a number for that check? Laura?
There's quite a few. The first one I see on here is 15234. It'll say like rec, ref,
Got
BB, however many games.
Okay.
And my other question, check number 15271 for National Pools of Roanoke for training. What was that exactly?
That is for 2 members of our team to become certified pool operators in anticipation of opening the pool this summer.
Okay. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
I do have
Go ahead, Rick.
15291 RC services.
That's for the 2 message boards that we approved. You approved in
That's
last.
for the signs that's
Yes,
down.
sir. That's for the signs at Oriole Street.
We actually purchased them, is that right?
Yes, sir. We did.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, members of council, regarding the checks?
I just hadn't seen that on there before. I didn't know what it was.
That's fine.
I'm hoping you're going to see a lot of things on here that we haven't spent money on before, so hopefully we can get things moving.
I have a question. It's check 15355. Musician's friend.
That is for some of the speakers and the music, the sound equipment at the Wisteria stage. That's part of the CPRO
Okay.
grant. That'll be reimbursed. I believe we're
Reimbursed.
just now crossing the matching threshold, so anything we spend going forward will be reimbursed to us.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, one other one. 15297. It's West Hill Track.
That is for the tractor with the bush hog and the sickle. That's part of the mowing process that you approved at the February meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the checks? There being no questions, is there a motion to authorize the manager to pay the bills?
So moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second? And Gary seconds. Any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please, Amanda?
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Now, we're going to schedule public comments. This is a 5-minute maximum. Linda King and Richard King. Linda, are you present? Yes. Please come up and, to the podium, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Would you like for me to?
Yeah, please do. Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Linda King. I'm here again to speak for the cats and the volunteers that care for them. The first time I was here was in February of 2020. At that time, the police officers were given orders to write out citations to the people that they caught feeding the community cats. The police department and the town thought the cats were the cause of the buzzard problems. Eventually, they found out the buzzard problem was coming from the dumpsters throughout the town that had rotten food and were left uncovered. Our group got permission from the town to put out feeders to put the food in. This helped to keep the food dry and also kept the buzzards out of the food. We were sabotaged several times by people stealing our feeders and throwing food on the ground to attract the buzzards. During this time, I had 3 police officers stop me in Grant's parking lot to tell me that I was not allowed to feed the cats because the manager had called and did not want me to feed them. I told them that they were wrong, that the manager had not called them. It was someone impersonating the manager. One of the police officers went into Grant's and they called the manager, and he told him that I could feed them anytime I wanted to. Nothing had been done in the town of Richlands to help the cats in many years. The older people always fed them, but many had passed away. One special person was Reba Hess, Irvin Davis's sister-in-law. She loved the cats and fed them, the ones behind Hardee's and in behind Hardee's and right at Hardee's under the bridge. Chuck and Sharon Chenal joined our group in 2021. They helped us build houses and feeders and put them out in various locations. Our group has worked numerous hours doing yard sales, doing dinners, and collecting donations. In December 2021, we started Friends of Tazewell County Community Cats Incorporated, a nonprofit TNR trap, neuter, vaccinate, and return program. We started as a company in February 2022. In 2022, we did 576 cats. In 2023, we did 701. In 2024, we have done 162 cats already. During the trapping, we have many cats that needed medical help. We have had some that had to have their eyes taken out. We had 2 that had to have their tails amputated, and many other things that we had to take them to the vet for. The last 2 that we saved that are still in recovery at rescues right now, one had a broken neck, the other had 2 broken feet. We have seen many little kittens that have died due to neglect. This is so heartbreaking. At the barn in Richlands on Railroad Avenue in 2022, we fixed 9 males and 12 females. In 2023, we fixed 5 males and 9 females. In 2024, we have fixed 2 males and 4 females. We have found homes for 8 cats, and all were fixed. Among these was a mommy cat and 3 kittens that someone had thrown out. We, as a group, have spent thousands of dollars of our own money to do this work. We've done since 2020 and worked endless hours. There's only 7 in the group. My husband that used to help passed away in 2022. Sharon's husband, he passed away in November 2023. We are asking the town council and the new town manager to change their minds and do not destroy all the work that we have done in this last 4 years. These cats are healthy, and it would be so heartless to take their lives for no reason. There is room in this town for cats and people. Cats are an asset to where they live. They kill mice, rats, snakes, and many other things to help mankind. They need to be left where they are to live out their lives. It would be a dream come true to see the whole town come together and help in our efforts to continue the work we started to make the town a better place to live for people and animals. It's against the law in the state of Virginia to move colonies of cats. It's against the law to shoot them. It's against the law to abuse them. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. King. We appreciate you very much.
And I do have some information here. I've got 5 copies of this, if you want to pass them around.
Absolutely, that'd be very much appreciated. Would you like to share it with each member of council and staff? Just start over here and go this way, okay? Okay, well, we can share, sure. We can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I said they can share. We can share. And then at the table, Town Manager May can share, okay? Thank you very much.
We've done a lot of work trying to do all this in the last few years.
Mrs. King, thank you. I like your sweater. Thank you. Now, Richard King. Mr. King, would you like to speak? And again, this is a 5-minute maximum. Thank you very much.
I'm Brother Richard King. I pastor King Trinity Chapel Church. And friends of Tazewell County Community Cats, they asked me to speak for them. It's heartbreaking to see animals being mistreated. God's word tells us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 21, God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, he created. He's in charge. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, God made and give to man dominion over the sea and the air and the earth and all wild animals. He is the one. And it also tells us right here in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 30 right here. I guess I could put my glasses on, might help me a little better. But on the 6th day, God said, life I have given. He gave life to all the animals, glory to God. Anyhow, Proverbs 12 and 10. There's a way, the Bible says, a righteous man regardeth the life of the beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. A lot of people said their nuisance put them to sleep. That's cruel. We don't put people on hospice as healthy. We put people on hospice who's terminally ill. Why kill a cat is healthy when there's plenty of people adopting them every day. Also, there's 3 of God's creations talked. The serpent talked to Eve, which was made by God. The donkey spoke. In Numbers 22:28, God, the Lord, opened the mouth of the ass, which is a donkey, and he spoke to Balaam. God is in control. So we got to be in control of what God is in control of. We're supposed to be, good shepherds of everything. But also, in Psalms chapter 50, verse 10 says, for every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle up on 1,000 hills belongs to him. Psalms 50 and 11 says, I know that all the fowls of the mountains and all the wild beasts of the field are mine. Also, Psalms, this is I like, 150 and verse 6 right here, says, let everything that has breath, it didn't say just people, it said everything that has breath, praise the Lord, praise God, praise ye the Lord. Everything. When you hear the little birds singing, you hear the cats or whatever, animals, they serve them. Even the Bible says if we don't worship him and praise him, the rocks of the mountain will cry out, and the trees will wave back and forth, will worship God. So in what we do in this life, based on a lot of things, if you would go and see the operation that they do right here, at the heart they got. Now they did altogether, if you done the figure in there, 1,439 spayed or neutered. Okay, and that's the total at $70. That's somewhere around $100,000 and $900, maybe $70, somewhere through there. They spent that much over the last 3 years just to doing this right here. Not counting the expenses of bills, not counting anything else. And like they informed me, the town not come to cause trouble, but the town ain't helped not one bit. But then, I appreciate, business, and I know they don't want cats in their parking lot. I understand that. I can understand that. But there can be sanctuaries put right here somewhere or another for that right there. And I would like to ask, too, that you would maybe talk to I'm under an impression that the Towson County Pound is a no-kill, but they take dogs only. Why don't they take cats, too? If you could talk to them like it right there, and they could help if it's a no-kill, if they could, adopt them out, too. That's what we're supposed to do, glory to God. But anyhow, make it close on this right here. God watches us, and he sees what we do in life. As a child of God myself right here, glory to God, I try to do everything I can for the upkeep of his word right here. And his word says that you don't kill stuff just because you think it's a nuisance right here. That's not what it's all about, glory to God. It's not a nuisance when you see kids coming, adopt a little cat. You ought to go to the workplace. It's like a assembly line that they got up here in the brickyard. And it's like an emergency room. They got people doing everything. They're taking care of them. I mean, they take care of hundreds of cats. But that's their passion. Just like we got a passion for a dog, they got passions for cats, but they help dogs too. So in closing today right here, consider helping them, you know, in word and in finances they need. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. King, very much.
Mayor Curry.
Yes.
Before we move on, I was actually going to address this in my council report. So I just would appreciate if I could just have a second to do
It's
this
fine.
now. I read the posts on Facebook. First, I want to point out that the town manager and the police department that were referenced tonight in these public comments are not the town manager and police department that are sitting here today. I've read the post on Facebook, and I've kind of just thought this was going to blow over. So I just want to clarify a couple things. No one in this town has threatened to kill a cat. No one. I don't know where this is coming from, but it's really difficult to try to move forward when all of the misinformation is being put out there. The police department, nor the town manager, the council, no one has threatened to kill a cat. Period, point blank. The situation is in one area of the town that, you know, people say they understand that businesses may not want cats in their parking lot, but this is one area of the town where we have to look out for the safety and health of the town employees. And that's all that is in this area. No one has said we're going to kill cats. I have offered to relocate them, and I would make the same offer to you guys. If you guys could take a couple in your yard, I would be happy to trap them myself and bring them over to do what we can do to relocate. We've tried to work with the cat groups, the police department, the town hall, town manager. They've tried to facilitate time and effort into what we can do for this one location, and that's it. But the biggest thing is that I have never heard anyone on this side of this discussion talk about killing cats. I have probably the most spoiled cat in Richlands, Miss Penny girl, and she is so spoiled. I am a huge cat lover. And I've told everyone the first call I made was to the police chief, and I was like, are we threatening to kill cats? And he was like, what are you even, like, this is ridiculous. I would never do that. And if he ever did, I mean, I firmly believe this council would be in here in a special meeting, but I don't believe for a hot second that anybody in that police department would hurt a living animal. In fact, when I first came to the council, one of the questions I had about the check register was why we started paying vet bills for cats, because we had never done that before. I can draw my own conclusions, but I can tell you that the police department sitting here today are the first police department that I've witnessed in 4 years that have actually taken cats to the vet, and the town has paid those bills for. They're super compassionate. Town hall is super compassionate. I've made the joke, not to air the town manager's personal business, but I've made the joke that people don't realize he's a vegetarian and won't even, when I say kill two birds with one stone, he won't even say that phrase. He says feed two birds with one scone, because he has such a heart and compassion for animals in his personal life. So I just wanted to clear that up and put that out there. I'm always open to any discussion, any conversation. If you guys have any questions at all, I'm always, and I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm willing to bet they're in the same boat, that we're always here to talk to you guys and facilitate a peaceful resolution.
Thank you, Laura. Is there anyone else who would like to comment?
Yes, Mayor. How many cats are over there?
To be clear, we're talking about a town facility, so we need to clarify that.
Yes. Right now, we're currently, as many of you may have noticed, we're clearing out that space. We are pulling as much of the apparatus and old machines out of the impound yard and the barn area as we can. We're getting ready to do another surplus run to be able to surplus all those vehicles because they're not necessary there, and because that's a space that I'd like to be able to use for more town activities. We're in the process of looking at that as a potential space for additional town services to be placed there. Right now, at that barn, I've gone over there and counted as many as 15 cats. That's my question. I went by there about a week ago and didn't even go in. I just pulled up at about 6 o'clock in the evening with my car, and 10 cats came out, because they know that they're going to be fed if somebody comes out and is going to be able to do that. The understanding of a vacuum effect is when you have a natural tendency for cats to be in that area to chase mice, snakes, other things. We have 15 cats. My understanding of the vacuum effect is you need 3 to 4 cats per acre. There's a rescue that I'm aware of out in Colorado that bought over 100 acres and it still only has 200 cats on that property because of some of the inter-feral cat difficulties that you have. Oftentimes when we're seeing the vet bills that we're seeing being paid for by the Friends of the Feral Cat group, it's because they've had fights there between male cats and other cats getting after each other for their territory. How many is too many? That's my question. Is how many is too many? Is my team supposed to be okay if there's 15 cats over there? What happens when there's 30? Is 30 too many? How about if there's 40? Is 40 too many? If there's 100 cats there, is that too many? At what point in time do we say that my team and their safety and their pride in their workspace outweighs the safety of a cat? Nobody is trying to say that I've not mentioned euthanasia. We've not talked about that. We've talked about relocating cats. Right now, in my point of view, you have pet cats that live at my public workspace. And I don't want pet cats living at my public workspace. I don't want 10 of them. I don't want 15. I sure don't want 100. I want to have pride in our workspace. And it is difficult to have pride in your workspace when you're stepping over cat feces to be able to walk into your office. I don't have to do that. None of you had to do that this afternoon to be able to come into council chambers. I don't expect anybody else on my team to have to do that. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. Gary, did you have something you want to say?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on council? Okay. Linda? Yes, ma'am.
They say they've not said anything at all about having the cats put to sleep. We have word that there has been calls.
Has that word come out of my mouth?
May I speak, please?
Yes, please.
Yes, please, Chief Holt.
Here's the unfortunate side of hearing things. There's nothing coming to this podium.
I would appreciate that. Thank
Here's
you.
the unfortunate thing about hearing things secondhand. So when we talked about relocating this colony, we're gonna have to trap. We talked about spay, neuter, release, and unfortunately, it was inevitable that we may come across an animal, and I've explained this to both veterinary groups, okay, that we contacted, that was sick or injured, that may need euthanasia because of the condition of the animal, not as a means to dwindle down the population. So that was information that unfortunately leaked out of a veterinary's office through whoever, an employee, that made its way to the street, that snowballed into a god-awful rumor that we were going to euthanize healthy animals. That's not our intention. That is the danger of secondhand information, and that's where that comes from. So I just wanted to address the euthanasia.
Thank you, Chief Holt. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate all the input. And to clarify, just 1 minute, please. Just a minute, Mr. King. Just a minute, please. And you may come and speak, but I want to say something. I can speak from myself. I'm an animal lover too, but I also understand both sides and what Mr. May is saying about the area, the particular facility in town with a lot of cats, and we understand that. Also, I understand secondhand information. It's very difficult to interpret because it's not a primary source, it's a secondary source. And Ms. King, I really appreciate what you're saying. I think we have to consider where these things come from. And that doesn't diminish anyone's love of cats or anyone's opinions or feelings of cats or dogs or any animals at all. I just want you to know that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, first off, we don't blame the police department about nothing. I don't know where that come up at, but that's a rumor too starting. We don't have nothing against the police department. They're just doing their job, whatever they do. They don't make the law, they just enforce the law.
Yes, sir.
And to the manager right here, they've been a trapping over there. They've caught about 12 cats so far. It ain't like that they ain't trying to catch it. But when they've took them to Christiansburg to get them spayed and neutered, a lot of the veterinarians said that the town of Richlands called them, want to know if they would euthanize cats for them. So that's where it come from. And not just that one place, but different ones that they called around. And they informed us that they was trying to find somebody, and every one of them turned them down and said no.
Okay.
Not a healthy cat. If it's a sick cat, they will do that. And that's nothing wrong with it. I agree with the manager right here. You know, you can't have feces and everything around where you're there. But there's places that we can put a cat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like a refuge somewhere or another that they can be. Feral cats and they're colony cats. It ain't like, you know, I understand that. They're, kiss cats. And a lot of people don't think that's a concern. But there's oodles and oodles of people in Southwest Virginia, all over the place that people don't know. It feeds hundreds of cats.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, you know, spend money in this town by cat food and all the stuff that they buy. And not to mention, like I said, the vet bills. And it ain't always, you know, like one cat they had a broke neck, you know. And it's pretty hard for another cat to break a cat's neck. It has to be mistreated, you know, really to get that right there. So all I'm saying is not blaming the police department whatsoever right here. But we got the word from the veterinarian themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said. They called and wanted to euthanize the cats. That's what I'm going by. So it might not have been explained it out right or whatever. But I'm glad to hear that you're not here to try to kill them then. That's a plus we can remember in the future. Thank you.
Mr. King, thank you. And I would like to suggest, before we go forward, thank you very much. We appreciate your words, both of you. And as members of council said, I can't imagine anyone wanting to hurt an animal. That being said, I would suggest that after council, or maybe you could send to the manager, I don't think it's appropriate here, but to send to the manager the name of the veterinarian in Christiansburg that got the call, and he could follow up with that. Thank you. There you go. Thank you, Town Manager May. That was very nice. That would be helpful to him to know how these things get back to us. Thank you. Okay. There being no further discussion, I don't think, on the cats. Okay. All right. Let's go to Roman numeral 6, unscheduled public comments. This is a 3-minute maximum. Morgan?
Morgan Herb, 1618 6th Street. So I talked to Jan and the town manager about a problem I think that should be fit for the council to look into. And it's on Tazewell Avenue going on to Front Street. Now, that's a blind spot. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've had a few close calls here within the past couple of weeks because it's hard to see over the cars and what cars are coming, and the mirror that's put out there is inverted. So it's hard to make a good decision on when to pull out or when not to pull out. I'm coming here to ask if there's any way that y'all can look into maybe putting in some sort of traffic light or just a better mirror that's able to make better judgment so there's not many potential collisions. And also, you sit by the bank too, correct, Jan? The bank as well.
The one beside it, the National Bank, is the same situation.
Yeah, and there's not even a mirror there, so when people pull in or try to pull out, they can't really make a judgment call until they go past the wall, and most of the time that's usually too late. Maybe put a mirror or something there. Second thing is, I like to fish like right behind Giovanni's over there in that area, right? And there's a lot of erosion happening as well, and it's hard to walk back through there, and pavements coming off, and you see the soils being eroded and everything. And me and Mr. May, we discussed about that. You can't touch the river. But I believe that there is a plausible way to put some sort of, what am I thinking about? Cement blocks or something like a barrier, so it doesn't keep coming down a lot further. Because, the river gets pretty high up down through there whenever we have a flood or anything like that. And I believe to protect the infrastructure and the sewer systems, think about that as well.
Thank you, Morgan.
No problem.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to address that, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
When we used to, on Tazewell Avenue, we used to have a nice mirror there that worked well. But somebody broke the mirror. Then when they replaced it, this mirror doesn't work like that. I agree with you on that. But I just wanted to tell you what happened to the mirror that actually worked there. Somebody come along and busted it out. So,
I can attest to that. I pull out of there every day, and the mirror that's there is inadequate. There was a mirror that worked well, and the mirrors are difficult anyway, but if there's one that works, it's better. So can we ask the manager and the chief of police to consult on that, please?
Yes, we're more than happy to do that. And as far as the creek and the erosion, Morgan and I had a conversation, I think towards the middle of last week, and we've had rain pretty much nonstop since then. We've not had a chance to get out there. Morgan's correct. We don't want to go into that river, because to do that it takes longer for me to explain than it will for me to go into the river. We want to be on the sides of it. We would need to look for larger boulders to be able to get placed along that, to be able to keep those from running off. And I did want to mention that I had a conversation with VDOT from the Abington office this week. They are going to be looking at both Front Street and at Second Street for part of their STARS program, to be able to do some additional designs, looking at safety, looking at road diets, and looking at some additional parking going down that road. That has been accepted into their program. They're going to be going down that road and looking to be able to give us some engineering and some early design on that, and then we'll look to be able to do construction on that. But this will take time. The design process most likely will take 8 months to 12 months before we'll get anything back. So it'll take a year before we'll get the design done for that. In the interim, we'll look at getting some mirrors put into place.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and thank you, Morgan.
Mayor Curry?
Yes.
May we take a quick 5-minute recess before we go on?
5-minute recess. We have finished public comments. We're on Roman numeral 7 agenda items. The first is a recommendation to the Planning Commission. Gary, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Mayor. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the conditional use permit for the single-wide manufactured home, which will be located at 78 Fleming Lane, with the conditions of being in compliance with the water connection, sewer, underpinning porches, with the ordinance and the state codes in a 6-month period.
Thank you. Okay. Is there, are you putting that in a motion form?
Yes, I
If There's a
can.
motion on the floor. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Rick gets a second. Okay, is there any discussion on this motion, members of council?
I had a question. I was just wondering about the age or the model, your model of
I
the,
think it's an 18 model. Am I correct?
Anything else, council? Okay.
Do
Any
I-
other questions? Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Being no further questions, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Next, we have Keisha Cole from the Tazewell County Chamber of Commerce to talk about Taste of Appalachia. Keisha?
Good evening. Thank
Good
you all
evening.
for allowing me to be here and giving me this opportunity to speak about our newly created event. It's called Taste of Appalachia. This event will encompass the culture of our Appalachian heritage. We'll have food, music, a beer garden, a cruise-in, car show, and then Appalachian cuisine at local restaurants. This year is our first annual. It's going to be held in the town of Tazewell on Main Street. But we're hoping to ask the town of Richlands if we could plan our second annual Taste of Appalachia in Richlands, Virginia.
Okay. Keisha, so this, are you moving it around the county?
We are going to move it around the county.
Okay.
Where we're a county chamber, we want to move it every year to a different town.
Okay. So a Taste of Appalachia. So it's more than beans and cornbread?
It's more than beans and cornbread.
Okay, just want to clarify,
Yes.
because Appalachian heritage, I must comment, is partly that, but we're probably one of the most diverse areas in the country,
Yes.
particularly at the turn of the 20th century. So there's a
Yes.
lot of cuisine that people have brought here, and it's a fusion of many cuisines.
Yes, and we
So
would
are you
bring
ask-
in
go
different
ahead.
types of music as well.
Okay.
To
Are you
the
going to
event.
sponsor this?
The chamber would sponsor the event. We would ask for different businesses to sponsor this as well. So it would be put on by the chamber. We would love, of course, to have your events planning committee to help us do that, or
Right.
any council.
And that would be
town-
Laura and Jan.
Yes, to help us do that.
And we're all together, but they're
Yeah.
the chief,
Yeah,
I call them
sure.
co-chairman of the events committee.
Yes,
Mostly
and then
Jan.
we have different committee members from Tazewell, from the Tazewell County Chamber that help with our events that we have, so we would work all together for that.
Okay. So when is the event in Tazewell?
This year, the event is May 18th. It's Saturday,
Okay.
May 18th.
Okay.
And we're having different varieties of food trucks to bring in different foods and things like that as well. So it's Saturday, May 18th. I know that's really close to the Freedom
Yes.
Festival, so the date can be changed. This year, we were going to be the first event in Tazewell, so we can definitely change that. It just can't be in October
Of
because
course.
we have Oktoberfest then.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can do it any time, spring, summer, even through September.
Sure.
But,
Well, that was my question, that's what I wanted to ask you. The event in Tazewell is May 18th.
Yes.
The Freedom Festival is generally toward the end of June.
Yes.
And as you would well know, we all know, it's very hard to
Yes.
to have major events back to back like that. And so it's something that could be moved
Yes.
Okay, in time?
Yes, the date is not set in stone. This year, it's just kind of the way it happened. And with planning Oktoberfest, we knew we didn't want to go into the fall, and plus it's colder, so you would have to have heaters, and weather isn't usually as good. So we definitely want to try to keep it to where it's an outdoor event, so we want to keep it to where we cross our fingers and pray that the weather is nice for it.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Keisha? Anyone? Laura, Jan? I defer to them because they really put on some events here,
Yeah.
such as Freedom Festival. Any questions, ladies?
Okay.
We will have plenty.
Sure, and
Well-
I'll be able to say more once the event happens in Tazewell. All of our Main Street businesses in the town of Tazewell are trying to have some type of special, something to bring more people in. We're trying to advertise and market to where we can maybe get tourists in. So the event can change and we can tailor it to each town. If you wanted to do a walking history or something like that. So we'll know more after May 18th.
I think that sounds exciting. And again, this would be a council decision, but I think it's a cooperation, cooperating with the county and being part of it. As far as the historic walking tour, we actually have one. It has not been happening in quite a while. It would probably need to be updated, but we have it, a map with the walking
Oh, wow.
tour here, and a
Yeah,
brochure.
That would be great. So,
Okay.
yeah, so Richlands can make it what they want.
Yeah.
Add to, take away from, kind of make it special to here.
Okay. Sounds exciting. Anyone have questions for Keisha?
Mayor, do we need a motion to?
I'd say right now, we could do a motion, but I'm thinking, and I'll defer to your judgment, that we could wait and communicate more with Keisha, and then we could come back with the motion. What do you think?
I'd say let's just do it.
Okay.
It would be
Well, then make
great
a
if you
motion.
did, because we'd
Yeah.
love
Okay,
to
go
say
ahead.
that next year it's going to be in Richlands. We're having our annual dinner in April, and then Taste of Appalachia will be in May, and then Oktoberfest in
So this be
October. So
2025?
It would be 2025,
sure.
yes.
I think I'm gonna let Laura and Jan do it.
Okay.
Because they're the convenient.
Oh,
I don't care to do it, but
I'll make the motion that we host the 2025 Taste of Appalachia in Richlands.
Okay, perfect. There's a motion, and Jan makes a second.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm so
All right.
excited. Thank
We
you.
have some savvy people here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a motion on the floor in a second. Is there any discussion for Richlands to host the Taste of Appalachia in 2025? Okay. There being no discussion, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
It carries. It is unanimous. So I guess we can all look forward to a Taste of Appalachia in Richlands. Thank you, Keisha. We appreciate that. Okay, next we have the Police Department Annual Report. Chief Holt.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, town manager May. We truly appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this evening to present our annual report. It is an accreditation standard, which I know our accreditation manager appreciates very much. But it's an opportunity for us to talk about some of the things that we're proud of that we're doing at the Richlands Police Department. And you'll have to bear with me. I'm recovering from the flu. So I'm going to try my best to get through it and keep my voice. But before we start, I would like to read the letter that I wrote to the mayor and to our council for the benefit of the folks that are in attendance tonight and maybe those that are watching on Facebook, if that's okay, Mayor.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Thank you. And take your time.
Thank you, sir. So it's to the honorable council members and Mayor Curry. That's dated today's date. It's regarding our annual report. It says, on behalf of the men and women of the Richlands Police Department, I would like to thank each of you for your unwavering support. As a result of your support and the team dynamic that we enjoy with town administration and all of our town departments, our agency continues to grow into the department that I envisioned when I was hired in September of 2022. We are steadily moving towards VALIAC accreditation with the help of our incredible accreditation manager and our leadership team. Our first mock assessment proved to be better than anticipated, with our agency receiving high praise and good marks from assessors. Also worth noting, in 2023, we began rehabilitating our building with the help of our wonderful town crew, and I can't put enough emphasis on wonderful. They are absolutely fantastic, and they rarely get the praise that they deserve. They have helped us. I can't describe how helpful they've been in the last year and a half to help us bring our building to a point to where we're proud of it. We replaced the majority of our aged fleet, utilizing existing resources and grant funding, updated essential equipment, professionalized our appearance, and started working on a host of other programs and opportunities for our department and the community. While the aforementioned hard work was enough to keep our department busy, we also responded to or created over 7,000 calls for service in 2023, and that's for a department that has under 21 employees. That's both non-sworn and sworn. That's a lot of calls for service. We continue to work through a mental health crisis on the heels of COVID, which is especially difficult from time to time because we have a hospital in town. It's no fault of their own, but they catch a lot of mental health cases, and unfortunately, the police department has to deal with those through ECOs and TDOs. We continue to provide SRO services for 2 of our schools, conduct major investigations into felony crime, and support the ongoing fight against drugs in our community through our participation in the Tazewell County Drug Task Force. I continue to stand in awe of the men and women who I work alongside each and every day. Their commitment to protecting Richlands is evident in their work and their willingness to help me do the necessary things to make our department the best it can be. And I look forward to great things happening in 2024.
Thank you.
And we don't need to go through every page. I want to skip over if we can, just to kind of hit the high points. There's a lot of things we're proud of, but for time's sake, we'll keep it to a minimum tonight. But if we could just turn over to the training portion. And it says at the top that 40 hours of in-service are required for a law enforcement officer. That's the basic minimum to keep your certification in Virginia every 2 years. We don't want to be a department that's known for doing the bare minimum. We want to send our folks to as much training to make them the best possible police officers and leaders that they can be. We didn't include all of the training that our officers went through in 2023, but we did hit the high points. We had officers who attended FBI Leadership Academy, first line supervisor training. We've trained new supervisors, we've trained new field training officers, a lot of training to be proud of in the 2023 year. And if we could turn over to grants and equipment. You see there at the top, grant funds for 2023 totaled over $444,000. We are extremely proud of that. We literally do not leave any stone unturned when it comes to trying to find money to make our department better, to receive better training for our officers. We were blessed to receive grant funding for 4 new patrol vehicles in 2023. That was a $212,000 grant that we were successful in obtaining to put some very nice patrol vehicles in our fleet. You can see that we a heat grant for LPR cameras that we're going to be placing through town. These are 4K high definition cameras that will be extremely helpful during investigations and those types of things. Ballistic vests, we were successful in obtaining a grant for 3 bicycles that we're going to roll out this year in our parks, at our special events. We hope that you're going to see our officers in new ways that are connecting with citizens in ways that maybe we haven't done that before. And if Amanda, if you could step up, we're going to turn over to accreditation. And she loves being in the spotlight, by the way.
Can I ask you something about the bikes?
Yes, sir.
Will some vehicles have hitches on them, or like a hauler to haul them like to the park, then you get on it and take off, or whatever? Or?
Right. We have a trailer right now, and those are going to be some of the things that we talk about in our upcoming budget discussions, some of the things that we need to continue to grow these programs in the next fiscal year and then, years to come. But it's certainly a good question. It's something that we're definitely going to address. Right now we have a truck that's able to pull a trailer, that we're able to trailer these bikes where we need to trailer them at this point. Thank you for that, sir. Do you have your certificate? Before we start with the accreditation piece, I want to recognize Amanda for a very special accomplishment. As you know, she is an assessor with it's Appalachia, and the assessors are the folks that go out from various law enforcement agencies in the Commonwealth, and they make the determination on whether or not that you're going to be able to be an accredited agency. They are the ones that are holding departments and agencies accountable to make sure that, when you say you're doing the work, well, this is the lady that's coming through the door to make sure that you have the proofs that you're doing the work that's necessary to become an accredited agency. And just this year, she became a senior assessor, which is one step below a master assessor. And if you would just join me in congratulating her for doing a wonderful job. She is a tremendous asset to our department and to accreditation. And these are her words, what I'm getting ready to read. I tried to get her to do it, but she asked me to do it, so I'm going to read her words. It says, the Richlands Police Department officially began the self-assessment phase of obtaining accredited status in 2023. Forgive me, Mayor, I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'll join you.
It says accreditation is a progressive and time-proven way for law enforcement agencies to improve performance and service to the community. I think this next part is an important distinction. It is a voluntary adoption of the service to the community. This is not something that we have to do. This is something that we want to do, that we're passionate about, because we know that it's going to make our department a better department for the community and a better place to work. So it is the voluntary adoption of the best practices in law enforcement and requires a constant evaluation of the professional objectives set forth by Bailey Act, which is Virginia Law Enforcement Accreditation Coalition. It is an ongoing process that ensures our department is consistently achieving professional excellence. In October of 23, Accreditation Manager Baylor and Lieutenant Matt Whited attended the annual Bailey Act Conference in Charlottesville, Virginia. Baylor has attended multiple mocks and training courses to ensure that the agency stays up to date with changing policies and laws. She also serves as an official assessor through the Commonwealth to hold other agencies accountable to the professional standards set forth by the Virginia Law Enforcement Professional Standards Commission. On February 8, 2024, the Richlands Police Department held their first of many mock assessments. We had 5 assessors who spent the day going through our policies and participating in an agency tour. They also rode along with our officers. The mock was very successful and very beneficial. We plan to hold our official on-site assessment in the fall of 2024. We're excited for that. We look forward to it. I tell you what, I was honestly a little nervous about the official assessment before we did our first mock, and it really gave me a lot of confidence after those folks came down and give us a lot of praise and high marks for our work as a team, but especially for her work as our manager. And again, she doesn't get enough credit for that, and we truly appreciate what you do. Thank you, ma'am. If we can move along to community outreach, which is the next page. Our department continues to expand our services and programs to be more engaged with the community. We list some of the community outreach that we've done to include Shop with a Cop, Coffee with a Cop, which our town manager attended our last event. It's always a great event. We don't draw out a huge crowd, but it's always a quality conversation that we have with the members of our community. We certainly had quality conversation with some great members of our community at our last event. Our National Night Out, which is a back-to-school event, trunk or treat. We have car shows. That is to benefit our Shop with a Cop program. We did a car wash last year. Several of our council members came by, had their vehicles washed. We appreciate it. We did our community service event, trash pickup. In 2024, we hope to help the section house as our community service event. We're going to help with a little facelift, some painting and some work to the outside. We're excited. I think we're going to try to roll that into our Police Week event. We're going to try to make that a nice event and invite a lot of folks to come out for a good cause. And last but not least that I'll talk about is you'll see dignity showers on there. That's something that I didn't really know what to call this program, so I called it Dignity Shower. We have a wonderful building at the police department that I guess it used to be an armory. And we have a great shower facility, and it goes unused. We believe that it's not necessarily a right, but it certainly is nice for every person to be clean. And there are, unfortunately, some members of our community that don't have access to running water or a hot shower. We've worked with some local churches. Pastor Snyder has been wonderful, and she's kind of led that up with our church community. We've got some donations from our hospital. Huge thanks to Peter Mulkey. We're going to be able to provide one day a week, a couple hours, hopefully, that we open up our building and say, listen, if you need one, and we're not going to celebrate it with no fanfare. These folks can come in very dignified manner. We're going to give them the peace that they need, and hopefully they can take a shower and be clean at least, a couple of days a week as a result of that. We're proud of that. You can skip over to policy. We did sign a new policy into effect on May 26th of last year. It's a new policy, and it is in keeping with all the things that we need to do to be an accredited agency. We're very proud of it. And that is one thing that accreditation demands of a police department, is to have a good policy. There are certainly other benefits, but that's probably the chief benefit of it. We have our academy graduates from 23 come up. Very proud of these young men. In the 2023 calendar year, we were very fortunate to have found 2 young men to join our team. Both officers have completed their FTO program and are on shift serving our community today. We'll start with Tyler, Officer Hutchinson. Many of you may have known his daddy. Jim served our community for over 30 years, and he continues on a rich history of service to the town of Richlands. And he'll correct me if I get this wrong, but Tyler was the honor graduate for academics for his graduating class, which means he scored better on all the tests than everybody else. He's got a big brain and that handsome head of his. And he was the top driver of his class. Very proud of his academic accomplishments and what he's done in the academy. So if you'll join me in congratulating Officer Hutchinson. Officer Freeman also comes from a family that has a rich history of service to the Commonwealth. His father works for the Virginia Department of Corrections. And what is his official title?
He's Captain of Special Operations.
Yeah, this guy knows his stuff, and he is a well-trained guy, and he's passed that along to his son. Seth also graduated at the top of his class. He received an award for leadership from his peers, which I think is especially important to notate, because you can get high marks, that's great, but when your peers around you, when they can see something in you that maybe you can't even see in yourself sometimes, and they recognize you for it, that's a big deal. And we're so proud to have both of these young men on the force. Seth's also a paramedic. So he brings a ton of training and just ability to our department. He makes us better. So if we could congratulate him on his success. We appreciate you. Promotions. We could get the lieutenant and the sergeant to come up. First Sergeant Short couldn't be here with us. He is attending training at the academy. He's on his way back. He's trying to make it, but I don't believe he's going to get here. So 2023 was a year of change for our command staff. We promoted 2 of our best, a first sergeant and lieutenant, and in 22, a sergeant that we want to talk about because we didn't get to celebrate her the way that we wanted to. They have shown tremendous aptitude in their new positions as they help lead our team. Charlie is the absolute queen of business checks. She does a wonderful job, and that is such an important part of police work. It doesn't get celebrated enough because, we're not putting statistics up. It's not a big drug bust. It's not, some bad criminal that we caught. But what it is it's protecting our businesses and our homeowners and our citizens each and every night. And it gives them some comfort knowing that our law enforcement officers are on the job. A 12-hour shift, that's a long time to be in a car, and we expect that from them. We expect them to get out and patrol, maybe not all 12 hours up. They have to have breaks. But for the most part, we expect them to be in their vehicles on patrol to keep you safe. And she does that in a tremendous way on her shift. She's a great leader. We truly appreciate what you do, Sergeant. Lieutenant Matt Whited. Matt celebrated his 24th year of service on what day was it? March 10th this year. 24 years of service in the police department to the town of Richlands. And I can't tell you enough how much Lieutenant Whited means to our department. When I walked through the door, Matt said, "I'm here to help you." And he has not failed to do that a single day since I've been the chief of police. He has been instrumental in helping clean our department, to bring it to where it's at. And we're just absolutely blessed to have him. We're proud of him. We're proud of his accomplishments. So if you could join me in just a round of applause for their achievements. And before I move on, I didn't put it in the report, but another important thing that we achieved this year, and we put it on our Facebook page, you may have saw it. Our captain graduated with his bachelor's in criminal justice from Bluefield University. We're so proud of him. He is with me every day. He is such a huge part of our leadership team. He helps me, keeps me honest. He keeps me grounded, and that's what you look for in a good second in command. And I can leave and go on vacation and know, or if I have to go away for a day or two of training, knowing that I have a great man that's ready to take the lead and lead our department in my absence. So, again, I'm blessed to have the department that I have. We've added a lot of additions. You can see those folks on the next couple pages. Right now, we have a couple part-time positions. We're hoping to hire full-time. They're part-time and full-time positions, but we're full, and I'm going to knock on something. That is a rare thing to see in Southwest Virginia, and I'm not trying to beat my own drum, but I think it speaks for our leadership team and the team of officers that we have working for us and our non-sworn staff. But you don't see too many departments that aren't out looking for a lot of folks. There's a lot of departments that have a lot of vacancies. We don't. We're so fortunate. We're blessed to have great people who are serving in our police department, Richlands. And I thank you for your support. For our town manager, he's been wonderful to work with. And I thank you for your support, council. We couldn't do it without you. It's a team effort. It truly is.
Thank you, Chief Holt. And before you leave, anyone, on behalf of council, I want to say thank you for this report and for the sincerity that you delivered it and the accomplishments of the department. And so as not to confuse this with publicity, this is quite a good time for photographs. And the reason is heritage. People will look back years from now, and they may not read it all, but they'll look at the pictures. So may I ask someone to come up first? We need, I think, let's have Amanda with the award and the chief and the Captain Krause. And then we'll have all the department people, and then with all council. We must do this. And I know this, and we all know this. This is for legacy. Thank you. Come up. We'll move out of the way so we get a clear picture.
Hey, Ron,
Please,
we'll
yes.
give you this book. It's got something interesting I might want to read.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just don't go at the side of the road and I get in trouble.
Sticks. No, sir. I help you. Let me get at you. Sorry. Let me help. Let me help. Hold on. Let me arrange you, please. Scoot over just a little bit. You gotta cozy up. You don't want to be too friendly, but just friendly enough. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Amanda, can we have all the force up here with everyone, including you? You're part of this team. And I want to say, I had the pleasure to have some of these people at Richlands High School. My honor. Thank you.
They wasn't too happy, bro.
They not.
They just play a bit.
Let's see here. I think it looks great. Thank you. Thank you. And now, all of you with council, please come in. We'll make this happen. Up here. You all stay here. We'll stay behind you. It gets real crowded. I want to stand here with you guys. Very well. Take the primo spot. Thank you.
I know.
And
Come on over.
We got this.
Sorry, Nick. Sorry.
Mr. May, please come right up here on the end. You got to cozy up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much.
Tyler.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, sir.
See you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Sometimes it's hard to put into words how appreciative we are. It's a feeling. You can't touch feelings, you feel them. Thank you.
You don't know how you appreciate them till you call them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so next, we're on Roman numeral 7, D, Richlands, RYBC, the Memorandum of Understanding. So we are right there. Okay, so Jason, would you like to address this, please?
Yes, sir. So, Mayor, we brought this to council last month in anticipation of this. This is a follow-up MOU to the MOU that we have with Richmond's Athletic League. It's a very similar MOU. The highlighted section shows that we've added the section to maintain and weed eat around the areas outside of immediately the playing field. And then if you'll notice on page 2, that in section 2, number 3, we've added that the agreement can be re-executed with updated dates and signatures for accurate representation of town of Richlands and Richlands Youth Baseball, subject to approval of both parties. Again, this is the exact same language we used in the Richmond Athletic League, and so we're more than happy to answer any questions. But if with this, we would have MOUs with both Richmond Athletic League, which is Little League, and with the Richmond Youth Baseball Club, which is for the older kids. I can tell you, I did speak with Ms. Hurt earlier. We had Little League tryouts. They told me that it's a banner year. They're having 30 teams. Over 340 kids showed up to be able to go do this. We got lights on, got water ready to go. I believe everything has gone off without a hitch so far. This MOU would get us in place for the senior league and would have both of those. All of our fields with regards to baseball would be under MOU, and we would be able to move forward with those. More than happy to answer any additional questions.
Okay, there may be questions. Council, if you notice, the recommendation is to approve this MOU, but Mr. May will entertain any questions.
I do have a question.
Yes, Lauren.
Excuse my ignorance, but we're going to sign another MOU that a different group is going to have control of the fields 365 days of the year?
It's a different field.
Oh, so this
Yeah.
is not the same?
It's the big field.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the big
So
one.
it's not going to contradict
No.
the one we just did? Okay.
I have a question, and it does have to do with, on pages numbered, it's on the first page of the MOU, duration of agreement renewal. If at the expiration of said calendar year, no party has come forward seeking modification or termination of this agreement, then this agreement can be re-executed
Yes.
or
That's-
shall be.
No, that's the language we put can because last time council had did not want an automatic removal or a renewal, and shall, obviously you're forced into doing it, can be. So-
Okay, wanted to make sure. Thank you, Mike. Okay, any other questions regarding this MOU? Okay, and I've spoken to Mr. May about the correction on the last page. Thank you. All right, so is there a motion to approve this MOU?
So moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second? Gary makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no further discussion, roll call vote, please, Amanda.
Yes. Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you, council. Now we're Roman numeral 7E, real estate broker. Jason?
So back at the beginning of February, or I believe in the middle of January, we put out an RFP for brokerage service. Again, as I stated at that time, I foresee over the next 3 to 5 years, property acquisition and property distribution on our list, with the downtown revitalization project, with a number of other projects that we're working on. There may come a point in time where we need to purchase land or we need to sell land. In my past experience, we have gone through that process in other municipalities. When the town shows up to buy property, that price of that property goes up by 25%. And so what we have asked to do was go and do an RFP for a brokerage service. We received 2 solicitations for that. The recommendation is to go with the lowest priced, and that is Solutions Real Estate.
Solutions Real Estate.
Yes, sir.
Would you like that at a motion?
Yes, sir, please.
Is there a motion to employ the services of Solutions Real Estate? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rick makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Is there any, by Laura, is there any discussion on this motion? Members of council? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay. Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
I'm going to abstain due to a conflict of interest.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 4 and 1 abstention. And please note those by name. Thank you very much. Okay, so the motion carries. All right, we're now on Roman numeral 7F, second reading of the $1 fee for brush bulk pickup ordinance. And this is ordinance number O-2024-0301, Title 5 Public Works, Chapter 50 Utility Schedules and Riders. Okay, we've had a first reading, and so if council would like, we could have a motion to dispense with the second reading.
I'll make that motion.
Rick makes the motion to dispense with the second reading. Is there a second? And Gary makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Before we do it, I just want to explain, if anybody out here wants to read it, or for anybody watching, we've already read this out loud. It's for the $1 a month brush pickup fee that will be on the water utility bill, and we've already read it. But if anybody out here wants to read it, you're welcome to a copy, and there are copies on the website.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any further discussion or comments, members of council? There being no further discussions, we have a motion and a second to dispense with the second reading. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan, and
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. Now, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2024-0301?
I'll make that motion.
Rick makes the motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Gary makes the motion to second. Is there any discussion on this motion to adopt this ordinance? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan, and
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you, council. Next, we're on Roman numeral 7G, Capital Account Ordinance, which is, Mike, I would like your clarification. Is this ordinance number 03 or 02?
It is 03.
03, okay. All right.
Mayor, if I can give a little context about this.
Yes, please.
So this is our first capital account. In last year's budget, when you passed it, there was no capital included. So in order for us to begin to have a capital improvement plan, a CIP plan, we have to create the account to be able to do that. So what you're doing tonight with this ordinance is you're both setting up a capital improvement plan. That's going to be within your code. That's in section 36. If I'm not mistaken, there'll be a new section in code to be able to create capital projects. Then you are creating one single capital project. This will be one of hopefully many that we will have over the coming weeks and months and years. You will be creating a grapple truck account. This will ensure that that dollar fee that we collect each month will go into that capital project account. The revenues will accumulate over the course of the year, and at the end of the year, these won't revert back to the general fund. They will stay in that account. That allows us to begin to be able to push that dollar fee each month into that account, and hopefully over the next 5 to 6 years, we will accumulate enough money if we continue to do this and don't have to use any of this money for any purchases outside of this, to be able to buy a grapple truck in 5 or 6 years. The purpose of this is to make sure that we don't use this funding for any other purposes. If we were to want to use this for another purpose, I don't know if that would ever happen, but just so that you're aware of it, if we were to do that, we would have to come back to council for another budget amendment similar to the one that you will see later in the agenda. So this sets up a capital improvement program, sets up a capital improvement account, and it sets up our account for the grapple truck, that revenue to go into that account, have no other purposes, and for that account to roll from year to year so that in 5 to 6 years, we will have enough funding to be able to go and either buy cash or to be able to purchase a used vehicle or to be able to have the funding in place to be able to purchase a grapple truck. That way the town of Richlands doesn't get into the same circumstance we were last summer where we're down a grapple truck and we don't have the money to be able to go buy that. More than happy to answer any additional questions.
Well, I'll make a comment, very prudent. Are there any questions? I think probably the first thing we need to do, possibly, we need a first reading. And then if I'm understanding, Mike, I'll follow you. We could have a second reading at our April meeting, And if council so desires, they can adopt the ordinance. Okay. Would you have a first reading, please?
Yes. This is ordinance number O-2024-0403, Title III Administration, Chapter 36 Capital Improvement Accounts. And this creates the new Chapter 36, which is Capital Improvement Accounts. Be it ordained by the Council of the Town of Richlands, Virginia, pursuant to Section 2.23 and 3.42 of the Town Charter, Section 32.45, 32.46, and 32.48 of the Richlands Town Code, and Virginia Code Section 15.2-2501 and 15.2-2505, that the council hereby implements Section 36 point, that should be 00, and 01 and 02.
Would you repeat that? Section what now?
It should be Section 3601 and Section 36.02.
Okay.
Of the town code regarding capital improvement accounts for various collection and safekeeping of fees collected by the town. Section 36.01, establishment of capital improvement accounts. A, the town may create and establish one or more capital improvement accounts and may pay into each capital improvement account, I, any monies appropriated and made available by the town for the purpose of such account, and/or 2, any other monies which may be made available to the town for the purpose of such a fund from any other source. B, all money held in the capital improvement account, except as hereinafter provided, shall be used solely for the specific purpose provided therein. C, any money remaining in any capital improvement account established through this chapter shall remain in each specific account and shall not revert back to the general fund at the end of each fiscal year. Section 36.02, a grapple truck capital account. A, in accordance with Section 50.16 of the Richlands Town Code, a monthly fee of $1 has been implemented for the service provided by the town for brush and bulk pickup. B, said $1 fee shall be held by the town in the grapple truck capital account for the purpose of replacing and repairing the town's grapple truck, which is used for the brush and bulk pickup. C, this account shall have its own line item of the town's budget starting fiscal year 2025 and each fiscal year thereafter.
Thank you, Mike. So we have publicly had our first reading. Before we move on, we'll need to wait until the April meeting, I think, for our second reading. Are there any questions from council regarding this ordinance?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. I really like this because the citizens can see where this money's going. We've said we're going to use it for thus and so, and they can follow the money trail. So I really like the idea of setting this up like this.
Thank you, Jan.
I've got something.
Go ahead, Rick.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Laura.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. This is transparency at its finest, and I really, really appreciate it. Like Jan said, we just went through a forensic audit where we had these same questions, so now citizens are going to be able to look at us and say, hey, here's this line item. They said they were going to do it. They're doing it. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura.
When does the dollar go on the bill?
So you all just approved that just here today. That takes effect 30 days from today's date. So you probably won't see it on a bill, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie, but you probably won't see it until the May bill, maybe June.
So you think it'll be the June bill? Because if it's the May bill, we need to pass this as emergency so that money goes into this account.
The money will still go into the account, Rick, even if we haven't had that account set up. I'm just going to set it to the side, and then when you set up the account, I'll move it'll probably only be about $3,000 or $4,000 that we'll have collected by that point in time. We'll move that into that account, and we'll be able to show that as both Ms. Jan and Ms. Laura both mentioned. We'll have that in our report, so you'll be able to see that money go into it.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Any other comments here before we move forward? Thank you, council, and thank you, Mike, for reading, and thank you, Jason, for the explanation. Okay, we're now in Roman numeral 7. H, disconnect to last Monday of the month. Okay, let's see here. Jason, we are right here. Town Council meeting staff summary, moving disconnect to the last Monday of the month. The recommendation, and I would defer to you to explain it, but anyway, the recommendation toward the last is the town manager and staff respectfully request that council consider moving the disconnect date to the last Monday of each month, giving consistency to the customers and alleviating some congestion on the first of each month. Okay. Is there is there a motion to move the disconnect date to the last Monday of each month?
Mayor, this will be an ordinance, so it would have to be read.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is this the ordinance right here?
Should have a highlight,
Yeah, the 02?
it's 01, actually. No, wait.
He's got 02 here.
Mine's got O2 on
I've got
I've
O2.
got 02 and 1. I've got a
I'm
1
waiting.
and 2 that, both of those really have the same thing of whether it's disconnected or whether it's,
Oh, okay, front to back. So we're conserving paper. This is a good thing. We've had, okay, I'll move forward.
Before we read this,
Yes,
sorry, is there any way that we can pick a different date? Because just looking, like this month would be, the 25th would be the last Monday. Next month would be 29th, 27th, which is fine. But then June would go back to the 24th. And for me personally, like I'm a one-income family. I know how it can be. And sometimes you need those extra days toward the end of the month for a disconnect. So is there a happy medium that we can find? Like I've read the recommendation, read the ordinance and everything, and I don't want to put you guys in a bad spot, but is there some, because I hate saying it just because it's the last Monday, I would vote no on this just because I don't want to put citizens in a sticky situation toward the end of the month with a disconnect. If we could say like the 27th or.
Are you proposing to move it up a little bit?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Because the whole point was, and I'm not sure what the policy is now, but coming into the council, I, like some of the policies toward disconnect and payment plans were really skewed against the average citizen. There are times, I mean, a couple months ago when Chief Holt was here, I got busy, I was out of town, and I made the comment to him that, oh my gosh, I'm in Richmond and forgot to pay my water bill. Thank God it's, I caught this like literally the day before. And we were talking about, even for me, I've been late on my bill, so I wouldn't qualify for the town's payment plan as it sits right now because you can't have been late for a year, and that knocks me out of it.
Yeah.
And most citizens who would need that payment plan, I mean, there's been times that since I've lived here that just based on my husband's paycheck that I've been late because I've had no choice. So that was why I brought this up, to move it to the last day of the month. And I'm not at all trying to put you guys in a bad spot, but at the same time, I don't want to put citizens in a worse spot. So if we could say like 27, 28, something, you know what I'm saying?
Are you like a fixed day each month
Yes, sir.
versus a floating day?
Yes, sir.
So let me read something here that will help everybody where we've all read it, but this is the summary of why the suggestion was to move it to Monday, but I'm not opposed to changing the date. Summary: approximately 1 year ago, in an effort to help the citizens avoid penalties and disconnection, council agreed to move the disconnect date to after the first of the month. However, overall, this has not helped the citizens as much as anticipated, and it may even contribute to them being further behind on their bills, as the new bills have come out by the first of the month and are due by the 15th. If the customer hasn't paid their last month's bill, they're facing disconnect and reconnect fees on that bill, as well as having their new bill due date quickly approaching. The average number of customers to incur penalties in 2023, 471, is a higher average than in 2022, 434, before the change was made. Several in-house staff reports are due at the first of each month, and the staff was not able to post any real estate or vehicle mobile home license fees until all reports are run and interest is applied to them. The first and third of each month are the busiest times of the month, as several customers still enjoy bringing their payments in person to the town hall. Financial impact and funding source. This delay in the disconnect date creates additional arrears in accounts receivable on the balance sheet. Prior to the change, customer balances were in the 0 to 30 days aging period, and following the change, customer balances are in the 31 to 60 days aging period. The shorter aging period provides for a stronger financial position. The income statement impact is related to the timing and incurrence of the penalties. Just so that everyone present, I'm sure you've read it, everybody's read this, can understand the change was made a year ago, but it hasn't proved as successful as the council had hoped, or staff. So we have before us an ordinance, and then Laura is suggesting that we change it to, what's the date, Laura?
I didn't suggest a date, I just said a set date, so maybe there's some expectation and consistency in that.
So I understand, I'm trying to get it.
So we like that. Again, I think that was one of the things that we had discussed when we were trying to create some recommendations around this. I would make the recommendation the 28th, just because of February. Because if you do it on the 29th or the 30th, it's going to cause a problem on February. And that, again, anytime you do that, it creates confusion, and it just doesn't work well. So if you do it on the 28th, that works. Now, the only concern I would have, and I only just want to bring because again, we deal with this on a regular basis. If it's the 28th and it's on a Saturday
Or a Sunday.
It's the Friday before. And so if the 28th is, or if the cutoff is on the Saturday or the Sunday, the bill's due that Friday. That Monday, when we come in, if we're doing cutoffs, now we'll check and make sure that nothing's been put in the drop box and be able to go through that. But again, this is where at a certain point you have to pick and choose a time and be able to run from it, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to show up at 9:01 when it was due at 9. And so that's the only thing I would recommend, is that if we pick a date with the understanding that it's due that day, the Friday before, if it's on the weekend. But I think the 28th would work very well for us. We wouldn't have any issues with that. Again, this is more, we understand we were trying to work for citizens. Don't think it's working for the citizens. And what it's doing is it's pushing our receivables out a month. And it's also causing additional work, because our team has to get reports into the state and to the county and to other different places at the beginning of the month. So they're trying to do reports, and it's their busiest time because they have people coming in to be able to pay bills. We just want to be able to try to spread out that workload as much as we can, while being understanding that we're working with citizens, and we want to make sure that we're giving them as much allowance as we possibly can, while still making sure that we're following good business practices.
There are pros and cons to both ways, so, yes, Rick.
I've got a question on this. So if I just don't pay my bill this month, on the 28th, I get cut off?
No, sir.
Okay. So I've got 30 days.
30 days after the bill is due, and then that's the cutoff time.
But there a new law in effect that comes in July that we will have to give 60 days.
Yes, sir. We're
Okay.
working very hard.
I just want to make
try
sure
to-
y'all know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're fully aware of
Because
that.
I was under the impression if I didn't pay my bill, then I was cut off on the 28th or whatever date it
No,
was set.
again, there's a
Okay.
30-day
Okay.
period at the end of that. And that's what part of the other problem that we're having at this moment is, with it being due at the first of the month. By the time you get that bill, you're paying your bill and then actually getting another bill probably the next day. And so I can understand from a citizen's point of view, from my point of view, when I get the bill, I'm like, I just paid this. And so why am I getting another bill? And so if we have that time between it, But we're aware of the Senate bill that's been pushed through, and we have struggles with that because it deals directly with the electric municipalities
Yeah.
and puts us in a place where sometimes we would have to be in arrears, or somebody would have to be nearly 3 months past due before they would be able to cut off. And if they were to make a partial payment in that time period, it resets that clock. So if I owe the town $1,000 for my electricity bill, and I come in and make a $50 payment, it extends that. And again, I'm not trying to give away state secrets here, but again, that puts them to a place where they have another 3 months. And so our arrears is the amount of money that we're owed but do not have is going to grow substantially over the next year if this bill gets signed by the governor. And that's a problem, because that's part of the reason why we need to have the unrestricted fund balance where we are, is because, again, it doesn't take but a couple of folks to be able to do that. And now we're in 6 figures where we have arrears and we're owed money, but we don't have. And so, yeah, that's the balance here, is that we're trying to make sure that we are collecting the fees that are due, but making sure that we're being cognizant that our customers are also our citizens. And so we have to kind of balance that differently than maybe AEP or Dominion or some others have to do, because again, they're just customers for those folks. Our customers are also our citizens. So we have to be cognizant and make sure that we're not doing undue burden on them. But also at the same point in time, it costs me money to create water. It costs me money to create electricity, and to be able to sell that, I can't not break even on that process.
I have a question.
Please.
I want to be clear, Rick and Jason. Is the bill complete, or is it waiting the signature of the governor?
I
I think you said it
I
was
believe
going
it's
into
done.
effect.
I believe
It's
it is
done.
done.
It's a done
Okay.
It's done.
I misunderstood. I thought you said if the governor signs it.
I believe the governor.
It's in his lap right now.
It's
Okay.
in his-
I just wanted to be clear. He said
It was
begins
done
in July.
Friday.
Wanted to make sure.
But
Laura?
and maybe I'm wrong, because the last time, we used to get the little paper perforated bills, and I remember opening my mailbox one time and seeing that red bill, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? But it does say, doesn't it, at the end of the month? Like when I told you when Chief Holt was interim manager, that bill said it was due on the 15th, and if I did not pay it within that 15 days, I was getting disconnected, because I made the joke to Chief Holt, how would this have looked for, me to have my water turned off? And that would have been horribly embarrassing. But I'm pretty confident that bill, and I haven't checked since then, but I think you're right. I think it says the end of this month. Does it?
He said July.
Well, I'm saying like whatever
The
month.
effect.
It says like,
Oh, for the bill, our bill.
Monthly
Our bill.
yeah, the monthly statement, it'll say like it's due on the, and I might be making the day up, but it says like it's due on the 15th, and if you don't pay it on the 15th, a couple days
Disconnect.
later,
It's got a disconnect date on it.
and that disconnect day, like it'll say the 15th of March, and if you don't have it paid by the 15th of March, your disconnect date is March 30th.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't give you 30
The
days.
bills are due on the 15th, and if they're not paid by the 15th, then you are subject to the penalty. And if it's not paid by the cutoff date, then you would be disconnected. But if you paid it any time before that, you would not be.
But the disconnect date is that same month.
It
correct?
is. And we have to do that because we don't have like a collection agency like AEP does.
And that was my heart in trying to move it to the end of the month, because we don't get 30 days here. They've got 15 days, give or take. And
Well, I was under the impression if I didn't pay my bill this month, that whatever date that is, it gets
And,
cut off.
Jason, what is the financial impact for us? I think I understand it, but would you mind to share that again for the town of Richlands?
So again, it doesn't have a long-term impact on our finances. What it does is it pushes the income that's received for our water and sewer bills for the month of February, let's say. So we send out a bill, you get it on February 15th. We don't get that, we don't receive that right now until March, which means it doesn't show up in your income statements until April. And so that's where it's pushing that funding out, and it creates a little bit of a logjam at the end of the year, because we can't actually receive that funding until the cutoff date to be able to do that. Ronnie can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that is correct. And then during the audit process, producing those financials, they will do an accrual which you will not see except in the audited statements, to move it back to the proper month. So that does occur, but it only happens at the end of the year during the audit process.
And I'm not trying to be difficult or throw a wrench in your plans, but a citizen just sent me their bill, and like this particular bill says that the due date is 3/15, and the cutoff date is 4/1. So that's 15 days of before
And the
cutoff.
due date.
The due date is 3/15, so it
And the
says.
cutoff is the end of the month, right?
Yep, the first day of the next month, 4/1. So it's giving 15 days from between the due date and the cutoff.
So if it's dated the first, they might not receive it on the first, I understand that, but they've got 30 days to pay it before they get it cut off. But before they get the penalty, it's on the 15th, is that correct? I'm trying to think it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm following, okay. What is council's desire here? Do you want to have this ordinance changed?
I personally would prefer a set date just to have a little consistency, whatever that date is. I don't have
Jason
anything
said
in
the
mind.
28th.
That would be my preference, would be the
Okay.
28th. Let me ask, if I could, Mayor,
Yes.
since we're opening this up, is there a want or a desire from council to move it from 15 days to cutoff to 30? Because, I mean, we can make it the 15th of the following month if that's where if we're trying to be able to give citizens a little bit of breathing room and be able to move it to the 15th for cutoff, but still be able to have the due date be due on the 15th, and that your penalty shows up on the 28th, and that the cutoff is 30 days. I mean, if we're going to open this up, because we're going to have to do readings, and we're going to have to go through this process, if we're going to do it, I'd like to get this to a place where it meets what council would like to do while still meeting what the administration would like to push forward. So again, I'm not saying that we can do that. I'm going to pull together with my team. I don't want to slow this process down, but we're going to have to update this ordinance. So I'm going to look at the 28th as the day that we cut off right now. But is there a want for a desire from council to move that cutoff to a 30-day period as opposed to a 15?
I personally would say yes to that.
I think.
Who is the
also-
subject matter expert on this topic? Like, who would know, like, if I was held at gunpoint, who would I ask a question about? It had to be right.
Probably me right now.
Oh, well, in general, not at this second, but like, who would be able to answer this? Because I'm never going to be able to figure this out. They've tried, like, different people have tried to explain to me the bills. I've heard the things Laura's hearing. I've heard the opposite. It was way better when we had it. Who is qualified to make this decision?
I don't think there is a subject matter expert on this,
I
to be
can
honest.
share my thinking. There's no win on this. You
Yes.
cannot get the best date. In general, we can pick them last Monday, 28th, 15th, for a penalty. You can't win it. My
I just
take.
want to see, I completely agree, it's a no-win.
So
I just
I'm
want
going
to
to
see a
suggest,
set
yeah,
date.
what other council members would think.
I've
Gary?
got a question for Mr. May and probably Susan. Okay, y'all saying at the first of the month you're busy, you've got all this new stuff coming in. Would it help y'all to move it? If not, I'm fine with 28th.
Yeah, again, it helps us to be able to move the due date for the billing to the month that it's on, and be able to do that. Again, I will defer to both Ronnie, forgive me, I didn't put my microphone on. I'll defer to both Ronnie and Susan on that. I think what we're doing right now, if we were able to get that due date to where people are coming in and paying their bills towards the end of the month, that would allow us some capacity at the beginning of the month to be able to get the reports out. But again, I agree with the mayor about this. There's not really.
No, it's no win.
Yeah, there's
We
not
all know
really a
that.
win.
Like, how do we maximize the solution would be my question.
So I would do this. Let me go back and talk to my team and come back with a fresh solution and have some conversations and have the fresh conversation in April for this.
Thank
So
you.
shall we just put this ordinance to one side and
Yes,
wait
please.
for your report?
Yes, please.
Thank you. All right, everybody good with that? Okay. Okay, moving on. Mowing code enforcement. That's in the town council staff summary, and we can read all that gladly. I'm turned over here, and I just circled these. The recommendation, staff recommends voting to approve the new standard operating procedure. Jason, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, sir. So last month, you moved forward with bringing mowing in-house. One of the additional benefits of being able to do that, in my point of view, is to be able to streamline the code enforcement process surrounding mowing. I'm just talking about mowing this evening. We'll have a larger conversation around code enforcement in large at a later date. But we're getting ready to move into mowing season. I want to be ready to be able to go out there and be able to deal with it. So what we've outlined here, and you can be able to see this, I bullet pointed it out, is that if we receive a call or a citizen complaint, or we're driving through doing our water meter readings and we see a house that has public nuisance, has grass that's grown up to the knee. So we go out, we go see it, there's a ruler. If it's 12 inches or higher, it's a code enforcement issue at that point. So we send the citation. At that point in time, the homeowner has 7 days to be able to mow, contract out someone else to mow, to be able to go through that process. At the 7-day point, we come back out to be able to see if that's been mowed, we close the citation, we're on our way, we move along. If it's not been mowed at that point in time, the sheet that you have on the second page, which forgive me for the small print on, they will fill that form out and send that to my mowing supervisor. My mowing supervisor will check his email every afternoon. If he gets a citation from the code enforcement folks, that is a number one priority next day. He is out mowing that and be able to complete that and be able to go through. He will complete his section to be able to say who mowed, what equipment was used, and what the bill is for that. Once they finish that, that will be completed and be sent to my accounts payable folks. They will bill that out to the homeowner for payment, and we will go through that process. Because I want to make sure that again, one of the things that I heard when I came last November is grapple truck was a problem, and mowing and code enforcement for last summer was an issue. And so we've got a grapple truck. I want to get that through. I want to make sure that we are taking care of our responsibilities, mowing the town the way that we need to mow. And I want to make sure that if somebody's neighbor is not mowing, that's a code enforcement issue, and it's something or other that doesn't stop at the property lines. Unkept lawns create nuisance. It creates rats, it creates snakes, it creates other things. And that doesn't abstain to property lines. And so we want to make sure that we're out in the front of this and be able to move forward as quickly as we possibly can. I would like this to be as seamless as possible, because I want, if one of you comes to me and says that Mr. Smith up the road hasn't mowed his grass in 3 months, I want to be able to go through that. If a citizen comes to me and says that Mr. Smith hasn't mowed his grass in 3 months, I want to be able to get through that. I want to make sure that we're doing that accordingly. I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
I'm sure there are questions, but maybe not. Is there a motion? We can take it in discussion. Is there a motion to approve the new standing operating procedure?
So moved.
Barb makes the motion, Rick makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I think this is, again, incredible. Consistency is key when people are treated consistently. That's ensuring that people are getting treated fairly. You're laying out the expectation, how it's going to be handled, that everyone's going to be treated the same way. I love it.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comment?
I have one.
Gary?
What kind of fee is associated with this?
We're going to have an hourly rate for each of our employees that'll be based upon their hourly rate. And then we are going to amortize out our equipment that we use and be able to put that to an hourly rate. And that will be imprinted in the code enforcement as we get the citation, as we send that out.
Okay. And is there anybody designated right now as the code enforcer?
Right now, I have an individual on the Richlands Police Department that helps with this, and then we also work in conjunction with our water meter and our building inspection teams.
Thank you, Gary.
That's all I have.
Any further discussion? Jen?
I'm sorry, can we post this on Facebook so people know what the expectations are?
Yes, ma'am. As soon as if you vote yes on this, it's going to be on Facebook as soon as I can possibly get it there, because I want to make sure everybody. Again, I don't want to charge anybody to mow their grass, but if you don't mow yours and it gets to be over a foot tall and your neighbor calls and complains about it, I'm going to deal with it. And I want to be able to move forward and be able to deal with that as quick as I possibly can, because again, that was one of the things I heard the most when I first came to Richlands, was that my neighbor's not mowing their grass and I want them to mow their grass. And so we're working through the delinquent taxes, we're working through some of the other things. We want to beautify our city, and we want to make sure that everybody takes their fair share in that process.
Thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Can I get who seconded that?
I did.
Rick?
Sorry. Okay, all right, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan, and
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. Thank you, council. We're on Roman numeral 7J, budget amendments.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. This is related to a mower that was purchased for the water treatment plant. They had I think it was an old push mower, and in an effort to continue to get the department's new equipment, and also this was in line with the overall initiative to, get better mowing equipment across the board. They bought a mower for the water treatment plant that was $7,300. The capitalization policy is $5,000. In order to properly line that up with budget and actuals, we need to move that amount from the plant's part account to the capital account, and that requires an approval process. If we had stayed within two expense accounts, we would have been fine, but we crossed from expense to capital. So in this instance, it requires the department head sign off, my sign off, and you guys' approval, as well as the mayor sign off. And that form is attached.
The only thing I would like to add to that is that this is not new money. This is funding that the water plant currently has in an operating line. We are simply moving that funding from operating to capital. So there's no new money, no expenses. This is simply just part of our process. The lawnmowers are expensive. And one of the things that we're probably looking at in the budget is moving this from a $5,000 threshold to a $20,000 threshold. Again, this is one of our financial policies that hasn't been updated here recently. We need to update it, but while we still have the policy in place, we want to make sure we're following it.
Should we put this in the form of a motion? Yes. Is there a motion for the town council to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
Okay, Laura makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rick makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, Amanda, will we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Gary, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
All right, Roman numeral 7K, we've dispensed with that, and the town manager and staff will come forward with more information. All right, we're on 7L, beer garden.
So we are, in my notes, later this on the agenda, I'll be speaking a little bit about some of the music and movies that we have planned for our new Wisteria station this summer. In anticipation of that, we would like to discuss the inclusion of a beer garden. We plan on selling refreshments, slushies, Cokes, and some other refreshments at the movies and at the music. But we also would like to be able to sell beer if that's something or other that council deems appropriate. As I said in the staff summary, I've reached out and discussed this with Chief Holt. He will have a team train our team on reviewing IDs so that we make sure that we have a good understanding, make sure that nobody's is drinking that should not be drinking. We have armbands. We will purchase those. This would only be in the fenced area around the stage. This would not be any alcohol permitted or allowed outside of that area. This is simply, it's a First Friday theme is what we're looking for. We're looking to try to have music on the first Fridays of the month beginning in probably June and going from there. So when we have music, we want to be able to allow people to enjoy themselves. And so we wanted to be able to look at this. This is also a revenue maker. I've worked in other municipalities where the music has actually been paid for by the beer garden sales. And so the town comes out clean on this from just the sales of the beer to pay for the music, and the town gets the benefit of having, 100, 200 people in its downtown on a Friday evening. And so that's what we're looking for here. I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions.
Jason, I only have a question. Was that on a staff summary? Did I miss it?
I didn't get it in a staff summary.
I don't think it was.
I think it was
It's
left
okay.
out of the packet. My
Okay,
apologies for that.
I was trying to figure it out. Okay, someone had questions. Someone was going
Yeah,
to say something.
me.
Jordan, sorry.
So who is going to run these concessions? Because this is hard work. Can assure you, this is hard work to
Yes.
like. So who are we going to get to run
So
it?
we are working right now with staff, both at the Parks and Rec team, and this would be something that the economic developer Main Street position that I'm looking to hire right now would also assist on.
Okay.
And so again, we're looking to be able to have full-time folks and pay, and there'll be a tip jar out there and all that good fun stuff.
That's the other thing I was going to touch on. Collecting payment is
Yes.
where you run into a problem.
Yes.
What is our plan of attack for that?
So we are looking to have a Square device out
Yeah.
there and be able to run through that and then have a cash till.
Okay, okay.
Relatively, I'm trying to keep this as simple as I possibly can. Again, I'm not trying to have, Budweiser or anybody else sponsor us. I'm just looking to be able to provide some refreshments for adults while they're sitting and watching a movie or chasing their kids around while they're watching some music.
I like it, I like it.
Clydesdales?
I'm sorry?
No Clydesdales?
No Clydesdales.
Just checking. It's fine. All right, what kind of, we don't have a staff summary. Would you like action on this?
Yes, sir. I would just like to be able to get a consensus, to be able to say whether we're in favor of this or whether we
Consensus.
want to be able to move forward. Yes, sir.
Okay. Council consensus. Anyone want to speak?
I'm fine with it. I've been a part of several, and they all seem to be a good success around here.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak? Laura?
I am so torn on this because when I first saw this and I asked about it, I did ask family and friends because I said, I've got this initial pearl clutch reaction and I don't want to be like holding the town back. But at the same time, I just feel so uncomfortable with the town on town property at town events going down this direction. We've had other outside people doing beer gardens. I took my kids to a concert that was at the town police department, and there was a beer garden, and we stayed for about 10 minutes because someone was throwing up in a trash can. And it just doesn't, for me, this is where, this is a vote that I would absolutely want to get more citizen feedback on, because my initial reaction is, I think the town is setting the tone for it. Looking at when I talked to my husband about it, and he said, look at the financial aspect of it. Is the juice worth the squeeze on it? And like Jordan brought up, the employee, the overtime we're going to need with the police department, everything. I just personally, where I'm sitting right at this second, I don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze on it. And I'm only one person, so. I'll
Anyone
turn it
else want
over.
to speak? Thank you, Laura. Anyone
I
else?
would.
Jan?
I'm with Laura. I think we need more input from the community. I personally have a problem with it at family events, but that's just me. But I do think we need more input from the community.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. Anyone else from council?
agree with them.
I don't think we need to be in the beer business. I mean, this is a family event. We're talking about kids and movies. Alcohol and kids don't go together because it ends up somehow or another an abusive situation, and I have nothing for it.
Okay. Okay, so you asked for a consensus, so the consensus is no.
No go. We won't do it.
All right, so moving on, thank you very much. Okay, we're on Roman numeral 7M, health insurance. We have a staff summary here. Ronnie?
Yes. The town of Richlands covers 83.5% of the health insurance and the employees pay 16.5. I think the minimum is 80/20. Currently, we're doing the 83.5. We're getting ready to start our annual renewal process, and looking at the cost increase, it's only at 1% for both the employees and employers' portions. And those changes would go into effect July 1st at the beginning of the fiscal year. Given the great benefits we have with the local choice health program and this nominal cost, we recommend moving forward with this renewal and ask for council approval.
Okay. May I read the resolution, please? There's a resolution for council's consideration. It's R 2024-0312. Whereas the town of Richlands, Virginia desires to remain enrolled in a program that provides health insurance benefits to its employees and their dependents, and whereas the local choice health benefits program is currently providing those benefits to Richlands employees and their dependents, and whereas the town of Richlands desires to exclude elected officials of the town from that benefit, now therefore be resolved that on this 12th day of March, 2024, the town of Richlands approves coverage through the local choice health benefits program for Richlands employees and their dependents, for excluding elected officials from that benefit for the next fiscal year, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. That is the resolution for council. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And Gary makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I just want to again thank you guys for how easy you make this, and point out to citizens that if this resolution passes, it once again takes the option of health insurance away from us setting up here. And if at any point someone up here decides, be it us or after us, that someone wants this health insurance, they're going to have to tell citizens they want it and take a public vote on it. So I love this.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I do, Mayor.
Gary?
Jason, is this policy, is it one coverage, same for every employer, or they got different option levels? In like tiered
There's
levels?
different option levels, I believe.
Okay, for them to choose from?
There's two.
There's two different options for employees to be able to choose from.
Okay.
There's a higher deductible plan and a little bit of a
Right,
lower
right.
deductible plan.
Okay. Thank
Do
you.
we offer an HSA?
We do not, but it's one of the things, again, we just made some adjustments within HR.
Okay.
We have a payroll tech now that's helping, so Ms. Fields is going to have some more time to be able to devote to items like this. So it's one of the things on her list to be able to begin to explore and be able to see what we can do. It'll probably be a year, but hopefully by this point in time next year, we'll have at least an HSA to be able to include in our options.
Would you mind to enlighten everybody? Everybody knows what that
An HSA is a health savings account. This is an option that an awful lot of employers are going to. It's basically a very high deductible plan, but you provided a health savings account. Generally, the town or the employer will provide some amount of funding in a health savings account. That's there to be able to cover deductibles, co-pays, other things, because most of the high-level deductible plans don't cover that. And so it's basically a give and take where you get a little bit of a health savings account, but there's a higher deductible for the plan. So it's geared more towards younger folks, folks that don't have chronic illness and don't use health services quite as much.
Thank you. Amanda, am I correct that the motion is made and seconded? Laura made the motion and Gary seconded, is that correct? Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Being no further discussion, may I have a roll call vote, please? Thank you.
Okay, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
Thank you, council. It is unanimous. Okay, next we have Roman numeral 7 in Tazewell PSA and O&M accounts. We have before us a staff summary. Ronnie?
Yes. So this is related to the water treatment and wastewater contracts that were entered into back in 1999 with the Tazewell PSA. It provides for a monthly service charge, and it includes various components for debt service, for O&M costs, transmission fees, for delivery of the water, and then also provides for this reserve account that we keep on hand for each one of those water treatment and wastewater plants. Those reserve accounts are figured into the monthly service charge as well, only if there's a change above or below a certain threshold in those accounts. And we've had that in process for a number of years. We do an annual true-up with them, which, once again, if that reserve account is dropped below a minimum, it would be included. If it's above the minimum, it would not, but you would still bill them for all the other components. Jason and I recently had a meeting with them, and they had asked for us to look into refunding those accounts in full. It's about $800,000 between the two accounts. We are still in the process of researching, what kind of historical activity have we had in these accounts over the years? Have we had to dip into those accounts to refund our business or what have you? I'm proposing, after we do that research, is maybe to come up with some different options. Maybe we cut the account in half or establish a more periodic true-up. I don't know whether it be semi-annual or quarterly or something like that. I'm not willing just to give up the whole balance until we really understand what's there. I think it was there. It was set up as a safety factor. So we're bringing this to council for information, but also to, solicit your input as well. But we still got some more research on our end to do.
So is what we're doing now working for us?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll see you along.
That would be my recommendation. You're also getting ready, we met today for one of our initial meetings around the water and wastewater projects. You're going to go through some large capital projects. There may be some O&M work that's a part of that. What I would like to do is exactly what Ronnie said. Let us dive into this a little bit, get a little bit more information. Ronnie, you've been here 6 months now? 7. So Ronnie's been here 7 months, I've been here 5 months. Give us just a little bit more time to be able to dive into this, get an understanding of this. I want to understand some of the things that have happened here in the past. And I want to make sure that we're set, to your point, Mr. Woods, to make sure that we are set to be able to complete this capital project correctly and that we're not going to be able to have additional needs. Because again, I don't want a nickel to get in the way of a dollar. If we have a valve that needs to be replaced to be able to get this capital project moving, and it's $8,000, this O&M counts right there for it. That's what it's for. You go buy the $8,000 part, get that moving, and get the capital project up out of the ground. So that's what we're looking for. We just want to make sure that there's no real impetus from council to be able to go give them be able to split this account up at this time.
And also, those accounts include a portion for Cedar Bluff as well.
Yes.
So,
I'm with Rick. I think we've got a lot of projects, big projects on the line. We are accountable to the state for a certain amount in reserves, and I'm with Rick. If you guys want to just leave it alone, that's fine by me. If you want to research it, that's your guys' thing.
Any other input from council,
I'm
Jan?
I'm with Rick and Laura. We're required to keep a reserve, so I think we should leave it alone unless you all come up with a better thing to do.
We will bring this back to council probably towards the later summer. Give us some time. I'd like to get through the audit and get through not through the audit, but get through the end of the year so that we can close out and be able to see in exact how much is in there. I'd like to be able to have the audit to be able to go through that. So we'll probably bring this back to you late summer, early fall.
Thank you. Any other input from council while they're formulating a response? Thank you. Okay, we're now on Roman numeral 7, O, EMS billing. monthly, let's see here.
No, sir. Forgive me, Mayor, if I could jump in.
Yes,
Th-
please.
This staff summary was left out of the packet by
I don't see
accident.
it, okay.
I'd like to ask council if we could move this off of the agenda for this evening. We can bring this back in April.
Take it in April.
This is a fairly technical piece of discussion. And I want to make sure that you all have the opportunity to be able to read through that staff summary in anticipation of that so that you have the ability to answer the right questions.
I think that's wise. So council, if everyone's approving of that, we'll take the EMS billing and move that topic to April. Thank you. All right, okay. Now we are on revenue number 8, staff reports and updates, monthly financial report. Ronnie?
Yes, I'm on a roll. This data represents the activity for the month of January. You know, and going through the different departments and everything, I think when we look at like the general fund, there is still some revenues to be received, so the revenues are still a little bit lower, but I would attribute that to timing. And offsetting that is the lower expenses that we have started to see a noticeable trend. So right now, we're just pretty much looking at the expenses and wondering whether they're going to be permanent or timing. I know with Jason and I looking at them, you know, we're 7 months into it. That would be roughly 58%. And I've included some percentages in these line items for help with analyzing it. So anything where you don't see a 58%, we're either above or under. And most departments are tracking under on the expense side. So I think we're doing a really nice job on the expenses in the budget. I have plenty of discussions with the department heads fairly frequently, talking about, you know, where they are on their line items. So for instance, on the general account, the revenue, other taxes and fees, business licenses and garbage collections, those look to be primarily timing. The revenue personal property taxes, we took that out, so that is a permanent difference. The capital project that we offset with ARPA funds, that was a permanent difference. And once again, the expenses timing for general, you know, we're keeping an eye on that, but we're getting to the point where it's looking to be, you know, where those differences could be permanent. On the water, the year-to-date net income is primarily the result of lower revenues. They're at 48.3%. Once again, you know, the metric for this month would be 58. Same thing with sewer. Sewers has lower revenues, but those are being offset with the lower expenses, giving us some year-to-date net income. Still looking at those as being potentially timing or permanent on the expense side. The water sewer line, that's a department that does not have a revenue stream, so we're just focusing on expenses, and they're about 47% of budget. But for this particular department, since you can't see most of the equipment because it's underground, I would attribute that to timing, because you just don't know what you've got out there until something occurs.
Ronnie, if I could jump in there, a lot of times for our distribution folks, they just went through their busiest time of the year. Their busiest time of the year is going through when it freezes and unfreezes, and freezes and unfreezes, because that's when we have water lines break, it's where we have wastewater lines break. Billy and the rest of the team have been working very, very hard over the past month to 2 months to make sure that we've gotten all of that done. We've had a couple of really larger water leaks and water main breaks. So that causes them to have a higher percentage. There are much more of a bell curve. During the winter months of the fiscal year, they're going to be much busier, and so that's part of that rationale.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing on, in the electric fund, we're reflecting a year-to-date net loss of $213K. That is attributable to lower revenues at 51.9%, capital purchase, and that was offset by lower expenses. They're at about 55% of budget on the expenses. The revenues, you know, a lot of that is going to be permanent with the 10% discount we had. That's supposed to be back in reversed starting next month, so we won't have the 10%. And then as far as the expenses, At this point, timing/permanent, and we're still observing the current trends, and we'll see where we end up with that. So overall, if we're at like 16,000 net loss, so we're pretty much flat on net income right now for 7 months. And a lot of that's attributable to our expense management. And then trying to keep up with those revenues that are timing.
Thank you, Ronnie. Does council have any questions for Ronnie regarding our finances?
And that's the summary.
Yes. Go ahead. Did you say, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, that was just the summary. If you
Yes.
have any questions on the summary.
Any questions on the summary, anyone? Okay.
Okay, the next is the detailed listing by accounts. It ties into the summary. Once again, I think on this, if there's any questions or line items that we want to follow up on, or you want to see transaction detail, just reach out to me, and we can get you that. We can set up a meeting to go through those.
Are our goals for these just last year's actuals?
What's that?
The totals that we shoot for, like the percentage of, are these just last year's actuals? Like how much we collected, for instance, of garbage collections?
That's the percentage received, is that what you're asking?
Yes, but like when we go for goals and such at the end, yeah, it's not on here, but like how do we find what we shoot for? Is that last year's actuals, or how are we calculating?
It's the budget.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of different ways to be able to do that. A lot of times it's just straight line regression analysis that goes into it. But when we look at water revenues, water revenues generally are an inverted bell curve because you have higher water sales in the summer months on both ends of your fiscal year, and during the winter months, nobody's watering their garden or doing anything else, filling pools or doing any of that. So we want to look at past actuals to be able to see what we brought into the past, but we also want to be aware of what's going on in the town. So if we get a new Dollar Tree or we get a new store that comes in, we may have an increase in sales tax because we hope that they're going to be able to make sales, and there's going to be taxes involved with that. If we get a new restaurant, we're going to have an increase in our prepared meals tax. So we both look at the regression analysis, look at what's been happening in it, and then we look to see what we got.
Yeah.
Because you may have a budget of $500,000, but you've only brought in $300,000 for each of the past years. Well, I don't want to budget $500,000 anymore. I want to go to $300,000, unless something's happened around that. So it's a little bit.
So we do look at seasonality a little.
Yes, it's a little bit of an arts and science. There's a lot more science to it, but there is some art to it as well.
Yeah, a lot of the timing is attributable to the seasonality of when we receive revenues in the activity.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions on the detail and just let me, like I said, just let me know if you once you go through it, if you want to follow up on any of those line items.
Ronnie, if I could just add one thing real quick, just to Ronnie's point on the revenue, some of this is timing. So you'll notice on the third line of the first page of the revenue detail, forgive me, Amanda, I'm trying to speak into the mic. You'll see business license, and it's $500,000. Well, we've only collected $11,000 today. That's because they're not due yet. And so those will be coming in now. And so hopefully next month when you get yours, you'll see a much higher collection rate on that. The other thing to keep in mind is sales tax and prepared meals tax are in arrears. That goes to Richmond first and then comes to us. And so that way we have to be able to work through that process. So there is a little bit of timing on it, but again, to Ronnie's point, we're watching our expense accounts very, 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 very cognitively to make sure that we're doing that correctly. And when we're watching on the revenue accounts to be able to see where we're at. The problem that you have in this day and age is when you want to look and do straight line regression or look at the history, our recent history includes a pandemic that was weird. And so that's a difficult thing to do. So a lot of times what I'm doing now is I will go back and look at what you brought in 17, 18, even a little bit of 19 throw 20 and 21 out the window, start back again at 22, because 20 and 21 were just strange. That's when we shut down the entire world, and that's when when the Delta variant came through, and there were a number of people that were dying, and so maybe we went back out and go shop or do anything else. That we want to keep that in mind, but that's, again, it's as much of an art as it is a science, and it's really, that's why you will see next year when we go through budget, I will have hopefully a little bit of a different process to be able to bring back to you, because we're going to look at revenues, and we may at this point in time next year be making adjustments to it. I'm not ready to do that today, but if you look at our prepared meals, it's high.
Yeah.
It's higher than what we probably would expect, and I'm probably going to overachieve on that line. Next year, when I have a little bit more, when I have more than 5 months underneath my belt here, then I probably will come back to you, increase that budget, and then appropriate that expenses into somebody's line item somewhere. This is money that we can spend, and I may do that this year when we get into May and June to be able to do some other things. But that is where you can look to be able to see if we have a budget of just about 900,000. We've already brought in 622,000. So if we have an extra, if we think we feel comfortable having an extra $150,000, we may come back to you, ask you to do a budget update, a budget amendment where you increase your revenues based upon that understanding, and then increase your expenses as well, so that you can be able to do some additional things with that funding. Again, we don't want money to go into our unrestricted fund balance. We have a very healthy unrestricted fund balance at this point. And so we want to make sure we're looking for a 97, 98, 98, 99% expenditure rates on our expense sides. Again, having been a department head in the past, that's hard to do in March, because you're still worried about what's going to happen in April, May, and June. When you get to May, you feel a little bit more comfortable that the water heater's not going to break, or that the truck's not going to break down, or I'm not going to have to do overtime or do something or other else. So that's a little bit of the process. I just wanted to kind of mention that as we went through it.
Is our timing, there's not much optimization we can do?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it makes it
Unfortunately,
difficult.
Okay.
Okay, the last handout or attachment is the cash balances, starting with the general fund. As Jason was just saying, the unreserved cash balance is about $4.5 million for the general fund on an actual basis. On a projected basis, if you go through the waterfall per the financial policies, it's about a $2 million surplus. The actual balance increased about $165K from December, and then the projected, there was no change from December on the general fund. The next page is the water department. Unreserved cash balance is $1,281,000. It's a $19K increase from December. And then the projected is $847K, and that one actually went down about $19K. So not cash in those accounts are staying fairly flat. On the sewer department, we're showing a negative unreserved cash balance, changed by $2,000. Same thing with the projected. It's about $898,000, only changed by $2K, so not much change there on the projected and actual balance for sewer. And I think that's one of the things we've been kind of noticing, is that the cash is staying relatively flat, except for in the general fund we've had some increases. On the electric department, unreserved cash balance is $2.8 million. It's about a $20K decrease from December, and then the projection, there was no change from December, still holding at about $154,000. And those are all of the reserve balances and actual cash accounts projections as well.
Ronnie, anybody have questions at this point?
Any questions on that?
Ronnie, I just want to tell you, I know I've said it a dozen times tonight, love this. It makes it very, very simple for me as a council person. I've had citizens tell me how much they appreciate seeing it in our council packets, because it makes it simple for them to see and to understand. I fought as a citizen trying to battle ledgers and try to piece things together myself, and it took quite a bit of time on
Yeah.
my part, and people weren't willing to help explain it to me. One of the things in Mr. May's interview was he talked about explaining things in a way that his grandmother could understand
Yeah,
it.
it's plain, we call it plain English on the accounting side.
Well, I love it, and I know citizens do too, and I really hope we continue.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I'm continuing to evolve it, based on feedback I get. So if there's anything more you want to see, or if there's anything you want changed to help you better interpret the financial results, just let us know.
For me personally, this lays it out pretty
I
simply.
mean, it's
for me
every
to
GL
understand.
account, it ties into the summary. I mean, at Dominion,
Very
we did.
helpful. Thank you.
At Dominion, we did monthly analysis, quarterly analysis, actuals, actual to budget, actual to forecast, actual to what we called a flash report. It was, I mean, we wrote variances all day long, balance sheet, income statement, cash flows. So I'm used to doing that kind of stuff, so.
I love it, even the comments, even things that I might be like, wait, why was that number that? I just look over there, and 99% of the time, it's right there for me.
Yeah, well, thank you.
For me
It's
to
actually
see.
very helpful.
It is super helpful. I love it.
Thank you for actual. Ronnie, anything else on the finances? Do we need to talk about surplus sales?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay, let's go.
Are you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we did another surplus sales. The police department's kind of on a roll with these. We sold a Chevy Tahoe, 2 Chargers, 4 Crown Vics, an old ambulance, a van that was converted to an ambulance, and 2 boats and trailers. We netted it about $24,000, and then we used that money to buy a new Malibu at about the same price, so relatively flat. From a cash standpoint, and then that vehicle will be capitalized, and you'll see depreciation in the audited financials for that. So, once again, putting money to good use. Those vehicles hadn't been driven or for many years. Some of them had to be dragged over to the final destination. There was one young man that bought one of the Crown Vics, and he was going to fix it up. I think he was in high school or fairly new out of high school, and he was pretty excited to get that car. So anyway,
That's good. That's good.
no action on this one.
We had another one from the first surplus sale, and he actually put it in the Christmas parade and decorated it. And
Was it a
everything.
Crown Vic, or-
I think it was a Charger.
It was a Charger.
wasn't
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the Chargers. So I love seeing the surplus sales. I've always heard, especially Jan being an advocate for, and former Councilman Ratliff, both advocates for the surplus sales. So I love, from both a citizen standpoint and a council standpoint, to see, oh, they needed this car, so they sold this to pay for it. And I think you guys are just knocking it out of the park
Yeah.
right now.
I mean, plus we cleaned up. I mean, a lot
Much
of
better.
vehicles. That's
That's what I
probably,
was going to say. I'm excited when I drive by there to see that it's being cleaned up.
Very much so.
I
and
hope-
those folks paid like the next couple days. We had all the cash in within 3 or 4 days.
Wow, that's
Great.
incredible. And I had told Mr. May, I had received a compliment from pretty high-standing citizen here in Richlands, but said that they had come back from out of town and were just shocked at how nice the town was looking and things being cleaned up and things that had sat there. I had a citizen literally knock on my door last week, I think I told you about, and he said, I never thought I would stand here and see the day that things were actually getting better in Richlands. And he said, but I see it and appreciate what you guys are doing. And I said, well, it's not me. It's, I believe we've put the right people in the right spots down here, and you guys are knocking it out of the park. And police, fire, rescue. I know fire's about to pick up some speed here, and I think everybody's
Yeah,
seeing it and super excited about.
It's definitely a group effort between all of the departments. It really is.
You guys are doing it very well.
Thank you.
Working, I hear from citizens and even town employees about how nice things are and the work environment and everything. So I'm excited.
That's very positive. I like that. Mike, attorney report.
As much as I'd love to have a detailed report like Ronnie has, I don't have anything here today.
Slipping, Mike.
Are you good? Okay, okay. Jason?
So just a couple of quick things. We are going to be starting movies and music at Wisteria Station. At the front desk with the customer service desk, I have a brief survey. I'm trying to get that online. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but please keep an eye on our Facebook page to be able to see when that survey comes out, because I want to make sure that we're getting the right movies for everyone to be able to go do that. If you or citizens or anyone knows anyone who plays music in a band, solo, I'm looking for folks. We're trying to have First Fridays, and so we'd like to be able to get some music up there on Friday nights this summer to be able to go do this. This is where I'm playing from a disadvantage. I'm not from Richlands, and I haven't got a chance to meet everybody yet, and so I'm looking for citizens or others. If you know of anybody, please reach out to Town Hall and let us
Did you say, I
know.
misunderstood you or didn't hear you. Did you say a solo, just one person, or a band?
Again, either one.
We can help.
Yeah, I'll take it right now. We're looking to have some genre nights, have a gospel night, have a bluegrass night, have a country evening, jazz one night, whatever we can get. Beggars don't be choosers, so I'm looking for anybody that
Are we paying?
that we can do. And there is some funding available to be able to help with that.
The reason I asked that was not to be facetious, Jason. Some people do expect it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
They're
sir.
used to it.
So-
Jason, I've got a suggestion.
Please.
The first one, I think you need to let the police officers at the police station sing. We've got some real talent there. You don't realize what you got there. You do.
I will.
That
I
is
will.
the truth.
I will talk to Chief Holt about that, and we'll have a conversation around that. So we're going through that. The Little League Parade is April 6th. We, again, as I mentioned earlier, have just a banner year with Little League, almost 350 kids signed up for it. They're going to have a parade that morning, go around downtown. We've got our stuff is set up and ready to go. So April 6th, if you want to come downtown and be able to see the parade for the Little Leaguers, please come out. I am looking to do a Critterville Volunteer Day on April the 13th. We've had a couple of different conversations around Critterville. To replace Critterville is very expensive. And while I understand wood playgrounds are not quite in vogue as they were maybe 20 years ago, having gone out there to go look at it, a lot of that equipment is still in very good shape. We're talking to some community partners right now to be able to fix the things that are not working, to be able to update any of the wood that needs to be replaced, get that sanded, and then what I'm looking for at that volunteer day or that the Critterville Volunteer Day is we're going to bring mulch out. We're going to have paintbrushes stain outdoor paint. We want to repaint the tops of the little buildings. We want to get everything stained. We want to get it sanded down. We want to get it remulched, get all of the wood redone that needs to be redone, and get a bit of a facelift on that. I don't expect that to double the lifespan of it, but we do have some other things that probably are a little bit higher priority that we'll chat about at the strategic planning retreat here in just a couple of weeks. But this is one that I don't see us as a town replacing that equipment within the next year or 2 years. I see that probably being a little bit longer term of a project. And so in the interim, I'd like to be able to do as much as we possibly can to update that space, make it as pretty and as nice and as useful for our citizens as we possibly can. And so that's going to be on the 13th of April. Again, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but please keep an eye on our Facebook page to be able to see when I have that sign-up day being sent out. And so more information should be coming out, but I wanted to make sure I got that in front of you today because I think that our council meeting is the Tuesday after that when we pull together in April. We have the strategic planning retreat on the 23rd. It's going to be out at the Crab Orchard Museum. We've got boxed lunches. The first part of the day is going to be departments giving overviews, talking long-term needs of what they're looking at. The afternoon, we're going to start to dive into the strategic planning. We're going to talk about whether Critterville and replacing that playground is a higher importance than a police station, or where we want to be able, what are the projects that we want to start working on next. Again, I appreciate the kind words, Ms. Muller. We are fixing public works. We are clearing out that space, and we want to talk about what we want to place there. We want to talk about where we want to go for Parks and Rec. We have a fairly good athletic program going right now, but we want to be able to look at trails. We want to be able to look at outdoor economy or outdoor recreation economy and be able to bring that in. So that's a lot of what's going to be discussed at the strategic planning retreat. Wanted to mention that Monday on the 18th, we are having a basketball debrief with coaches. We finished up our basketball season this past Saturday. We've had some struggles. We've had some good things happen. We've had some struggles. And in the same vein as what Ronnie just mentioned, we want to get better. This is our first year that we took this back, is my understanding. Second year, I'm being corrected on that. So second year being able to do it. This is my first year. And whenever I do something, I always want to have a debrief at the end of it. How do we get better? Because we've gone through a season where we've had some struggles with some parents, we've had some struggles with some coaches, we've had some struggles with some kids. And we need to be able to understand, how do we get better? What are the things that the coaches are going to bring to us? I'm trying to put together a survey to be able to get out to parents. Again, just to be able to hear from citizens. These are folks, unfortunately, I don't get to come out all that often on Saturdays to be able to watch the games. And so I want to hear from both coaches, from parents, and from the staff to be able to see, how do we get better in doing this? Because I don't want to just do the same thing over and over again and wish that we were better at it. I want to get better each time we go through that. So we're going to both debrief with the coaches on the 18th, and we're going to get a survey out to all of the parents. We want to get better at this as we go through it. We did not get a chance to be able to do that with volleyball. We will next year. We want to get better each time we go do things. And so there's almost always going to be a debrief, survey, some sort of follow-up action whenever we do things. I want to understand what worked well, what didn't work well, and how we get better at that. About three more things real quick. There's an eclipse viewing party at Critterville on April the 18th. The public library is going to be doing this. It's from 1 until 5. I do believe that is a weekday. Here in Richlands, we get, I believe, 80% coverage. And so this is a pretty interesting event. We don't have another eclipse, it's my understanding, I believe, until 2045. So this will be almost 20 years before we have another eclipse. I did get a chance to go see the full eclipse a few years ago. It's an interesting thing to go see. The crickets start to chirp, the bees
Is it
start
the
to go
18th?
home. I'm sorry?
The 18th?
The 18th of April.
I had a different date. Anyway,
And I'll follow up on that.
I may
this
be
was just
wrong.
given to me.
I just got an email about that, but I will correct that if it
As I
needs.
say,
If it
we
needs.
can make
I thought
sure
it
we get
was
that
April the
information out
8th.
there.
I think it was the 8th, but I'm not sure. I stand to be corrected.
I will double check that, and again, we'll make sure that we get correct information out, so because I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to be able to go do that. Just want to give you all a couple of brief updates. We were selected from the pre-application for the Energy Ingenuity Grant. We have until the end of this month to be able to get that grant turned in. This is the grant that we're looking at to be able to bring in grant funds for our generator project, to be able to do that. We also received Exploring Main Street designation this month. When I first got here in November, one of the first things that we discussed on council was applying for the Main Street program. We are in Exploring Main Street. This opens up an awful lot of networking, training, and a few grants for us to be able to do it. From here, we would look to be able to become a mobilizing Main Street, and then we become an advancing. Advancing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is when you start to get the signs on the roads to be able to go do that. So this is the first step in that process, but it does allow us, and it gives us an awful lot of training and networking opportunities to be able to talk to other communities that have gone through the Community Development Block Grant Program, to be able to learn from their experience having gone through that, so that we can learn from their mistakes and don't make the same mistakes. There is the Economic Developer Main Street position that is out there. Please, if anybody is interested in that position or has questions about that position, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about that. And then the last thing is that we are starting to pull together to be able to look to develop a merchants association for our downtown folks. We have done some research on creating a 5013C around that. I am pulling together, trying to get names and contact information for some of the downtown merchants that are looking at that. And we're looking to be able to start that program. It probably will be May. I'm just going to be honest with you before I'm going to get there, because I'm going through budget right now, and I just don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I want to be able to be honest with you. It's going to be May before we get that together. We get through budget, we get this done. That gets us in a place where hopefully by the time we get to Taste of Appalachia next year, we have a merchants association and we're ready to be able to meet the Chamber of Commerce where they're at. More than happy to answer any questions around that.
Oxygen? You're fine. Thank you. It was excellent. Any questions for Jason?
Well, since we're on Jason's report, what about update on the Oriole Street and the RFPs?
We have the RFP out. Ironically, we've had much more interest in this RFP than we did in the original. And so we've had questions from 2 different vendors, and we've had contacts from 2 others. That RFP, I believe, closes next week, Friday, this Friday. So it closes this Friday. So we should be back to you in April to be able to get that awarded, and we should be able to run from there.
Is there any way that you could let council know when those are received? Can we move this forward a little bit before next April?
We can look to be able to have a special meeting called, if that's what you would like to do, to be able to get that
We'll
moving.
lose another month if we wait.
These people.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We'll just have to find the, obviously a good date for everybody, sure.
I will start
It's
working.
accommodating. We're
We
accommodating.
will start working on that and get us
Okay.
together for a special meeting again. It should be just a one agenda item on the agenda, so we should be able to get through that. And that would save us some time to be able to get that awarded, so we can get that moving very
That's a
quickly.
good thing.
Yes, sir.
That's a good thing.
we do it Saturday morning?
We could, yeah, on the 23rd, I believe so.
morning.
I'm for it. I mean, I want this.
No,
Let's-
the 23rd. Because we just have to advertise a
Maybe
week,
early
right?
afternoon.
Well,
I'm good with mornings, whatever.
if you've already
I'm good
advertised that there's
at
a
any
meeting
time.
that day,
Time.
you can just add it on the agenda.
Okay.
I mean,
We're getting ready to advertise about that, so we're going to do that. Yep. I think we should, we'll double check, and I'll get back to everybody and let you know, but I think we should be able to take care of that Saturday morning.
Okay, that's great.
And I had another inquiry on that today,
Of the
so.
Like this Saturday, right?
No, on the 23rd.
23rd.
okay.
No, that's what I was looking at, because we're going to be together on that morning, so we can pull together a meeting very quickly, deal with the agenda, and then move on to the
Move on.
strategic planning aspects of it.
And we'll wait to hear from you about how that works, and then if you need me to do that,
I'll be
take
in
care
touch
of
with
it.
everybody tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, anything else, Jason?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Council member reports. Laura?
I've got a good one tonight. First thing, potholes. I've talked to Mr. May about it and just want citizens to know that we are fully aware. I know my track into town is the same one Mr. May takes, and you literally have to ride the middle lane. And I was deciding today, should I hit a pothole or hit another car, because both are not a good situation. But I know the town is working on those potholes, and they are aware. The second thing is going to lead into the third thing. This week is Sunshine Week in government. It always coincides with James Madison's birthday. He is coined as an open government advocate, and this week it runs from March 10th to the 16th. And basically, it's just where people really stress and celebrate the importance of open government and access to public records, which will lead me into my third highly uncomfortable thing, and everybody's stomach is about to drop, I'm sure. But as we were sitting here with the budget updates, the financial reports, I started getting a lot of messages that a volunteer from Teen Venture has put my name on Facebook and said that I want to shut Teen Venture down. So to celebrate open government and the openness in this, I am going to address this, and I'm going to tell everyone exactly what happened here. Okay? So I'm not going to drag anyone's name into it, and I know everybody's watching what happened, but I was made aware of some issues at Teen Venture, including an assault on a child that was not reported. So I brought this to the council, not just myself. I brought it to the town manager, brought it to the town attorney, and I said, this is in our building. We have a responsibility to look at this. There were, as this came up, some other issues came up, including the fact that adults are in Teen Venture at any given time, kids of all ages, and that didn't sit well with me personally because the deal was they can operate a teen center. I would like to see the teen center open to families of all ages, and if they were going to do that, I was wondering why it's only for certain events, and I did ask those questions because to the citizens of Richlands, that building belongs to you. That is your tax dollars going into that building, and that's a building we have allowed someone to use freely. I was then made aware, not by myself, and I'm not dragging anybody into it, but by someone else on the council was made aware that they have felons volunteering at Teen Venture. So yeah, I asked those questions, and I will continue to ask the questions until answers are given. It does not mean that anybody sitting up here wants to close Teen Venture, including myself, but I do feel like there needs to be some answers given, that citizens are treated equally, fairly, and that children are protected in a town building. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Anything else, Laura? No, that's it. Okay, thank you. Jan?
I only have a couple of things. Of course, Morgan came by to see me and talked about the visibility coming off of Tazewell Avenue and near the bank. And then he didn't think he was going to get to come tonight, but he came. So I'm assuming that you all will look into that. And then the other thing, one of the citizens over on Iron Street called me, excuse me, and asked me if you could check with Jason Herndon and see if he would either leave the gates unlocked or give the police department a key in case there's a flood over there. Now, he used to leave the key with the police department, so that might be the best answer. That's an extra access out of Iron Street. You'd have to go through his lot.
Yes, ma'am. I will follow up and we'll see what we can get done on that, and I'll bring that back to you once we find out what we're able to do.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jan. Jordan?
All right. Jason stole my thunder with some of this, but I'll go ahead and read it out anyway. So, wanted to give a shout out to the rec park for another successful basketball season. It's the biggest we had thus far. I think we had 285 is I think what we had. So that's the biggest I've seen it in a long, long time. I had at least 9 kids that I know who enjoyed it a lot. So we're doing good over there as well. Room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. That being said, baseball's starting up, and they've been working hard on the fields all over town. I don't know what they're doing, but they've had tons of people over there, and it's looking good. From my knowledge, I don't know anything about keeping a baseball field up. I believe they also said they have 30 teams, approximately 300 some kids, even more than basketball, which is awesome. And I wanted to make sure to shout out and thank the street department for their work on the parking over at the rec park. It looks great, and it's already been utilized for our championships that we had for rec season.
I need to clarify something. I said that was just on the weekends for the opening of the gate or the key.
Thank you, Jan. Jordan, anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan. Rick?
Potholes.
Yeah.
But what do we do about it?
Let me talk about that just one second. So one of the things that and I haven't brought it to you yet because it's one of the things I'm hoping that maybe at the end of the year we'll have funding to be able to do it. So most of the surrounding communities around us have hot boxes. And so the problem that we have is we don't have it. A hot box is basically a glorified heating element in this. So they're going to open up the asphalt. My understanding is they're going to start opening up asphalt plants, I believe, next week. It looks like the weather is going to hold, and we're not going to get too terribly cold. Again, for citizens, for everybody else, the asphalt plants generally close in November and don't open again until late March. It is almost next to impossible to create asphalt in freezing weather. And when you go and do pothole repair in freezing weather, that's how we get the work that we have now, where we fix potholes, and now we're gonna have to go fix potholes again. The hot box is the key to this, because right now, if that asphalt plant opens up next week, I may be able to go get 3 tons of asphalt. I may use a ton, because by the time I get done leaving the asphalt plant and drive back to Richlands, most of that asphalt's gotten cold. And so what I'd like to be able to do is to be able to talk to you about a hot box. Now, they're expensive, but I can use VDOT money to be able to purchase this, about $40,000 to purchase it. But what it allows me is that if I have a 60-degree day in December, I can fix potholes. Because I can go and put the asphalt in that hot box the night before, and then that morning when it gets warm enough and it gets up to 40, 50 degrees, we can be out there and we can be fixing potholes. With that hot box, I'm not saying we won't ever have potholes, but we'll have a lot less potholes than we will right now. And so that's my recommendation. I would love to be able to talk to council about being able to move forward with that. It's VDOT money. We've got the VDOT money to the side. It would allow us to not have to deal with it. Now, again, hopefully by the time we get to this point next year, Kent's Ridge will be paved. So a lot of the issues that are on Kent's Ridge in Virginia will be dealt with. But that doesn't mean that we're still going to have the issues that we have on Veterans Overpass and on some of the other roads, on Farmers, on Birmingham, some of the other roads that we have that are older, that we haven't had paved in a while. We'll still have potholes even after we do Kent's Ridge. Doing this allows us to be able to fix potholes all year round.
I make a motion that we allow the town manager to buy a hot box.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Hot
Oh, do you have a
box,
second?
hot box is a good thing in one way, a bad thing in another way. The time you won't use the hot box, the asphalt plants are closed anyway.
But I can buy a whole ton of asphalt and keep it out at my new public workspace out there and be able to do it just like salt. And that's where, but Rick, the other thing is
If you
the.
get one that's got an infrared
Yes,
heater in
and
it.
if I do it, but the other thing is I can take the coal patch and put it into the hot box and get it heated all the way up, then I can still be able to use the coal patch. Now, it's not gonna be great, it's not asphalt.
Don't burn your hot box up,
Yeah.
because you're fixing to cause a fire.
As I say,
A different, you don't do that.
I'm just, there are options, but none of those are great.
Right now, W&L is open over at Buchanan, on top of the mountain.
Okay.
Their brand-new plant's been open all year. So, I mean, a good tarp, and you can go get asphalt.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but it's from my point of view, the amount of asphalt that I'm gonna lose, even with the tarp, because I'm still gonna lose heat. It's not gonna be able to do it. I may be able to have a ton and a half, I may be able to get 50% of it. And asphalt's not incredibly expensive, but that's my only thing.
Well, it's
is that,
$100 a ton.
yeah, is this that?
But 3 ton, your heat lasts, then you go to, if you use a ton and a half, you lose $150.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I don't like losing money either.
Yeah.
but,
It's more the
if you press
driving-
the tar, the individual person has
have a
been
question.
lost $200.
Yeah.
I have a
So-
question. Go ahead. Sorry, Rick. Sorry, go ahead.
But I'm for, and I will second the motion, as long as it has an infrared heater in it.
Yes, sir.
What is the cost on these, did you say?
They're about
We've,
30,000.
yeah, we've got a quote for about 42 that's got the infrared in it. So and it's sole source. So I think we can get that in-house here in 30 days.
And
Okay.
that will come from the VDOT funds.
Money,
so
okay.
it's-
So there's a motion
So-
on the floor made by Laura and a second by Rick. Discussion.
How often do we lose stuff? Because like we're gonna break even at $30,000, we're losing 150, that's 200 trips. When is there, so we're gonna break even, how long does a hot box last? Forever, like pretty long?
Yeah, they'll last 20
Okay,
years.
so like we're gonna break even after 200 trips approximately, and how many trips do we normally make a year?
We're probably making 5 to 6 trips a year, I would say.
Well, this
Okay.
is the thing that you're not.
So 40 years?
This is what you're not understanding. This gives you a convenience that you
Yep.
can't have no other way. You go in fall, get 3-ton asphalt and hot box, you park it. Okay, in January, when it's snowing and you need asphalt,
Yeah.
you can have asphalt. That's the secret to it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
unfortunately, the cost benefit analysis on this doesn't make,
It won't
it
work.
doesn't work, because
Yeah.
what you're leaving out of the cost benefit analysis is the ability to fix potholes in January.
Okay.
That's, you're paying extra, you're paying a premium to strictly be able to fix potholes in the middle of winter. And again, it's not, there will always be potholes, because again, without having somebody going and driving around. But what it does is the larger potholes, the pothole that's out by Pizza Hut where the spring runs down to that storm drain, the potholes on Kent's Ridge, we would be able to fix those, no problem. We would be able to fix those as long as it's not raining. I can go and fix potholes, and as long as it's not freezing. You know, again, I can be able to, on a 40-degree day or a 50-degree day in January, I can be fixing potholes. And then I can fix the potholes when they pop back out again. Because again, this isn't, we're not doing a permanent fix. When you go fix a pothole, that we're not expecting that to last much more than hopefully maybe a few weeks, to be quite honest with you.
With the hot box?
With the hot box, it would last a little bit longer. What we're
Okay.
doing now, because we're the heat. What's lost on this is, well, it's what it meshes with the existing asphalt. So when you put hot asphalt down into a pothole, it meshes with the existing asphalt and creates a much more of less of a seam in that. What happens is that when we had rain last week, that's what's caused these potholes, is that when we had rain, you have that much rain, it gets underneath those potholes.
Hydrostatic.
And it hydrostatic pops it out. And then we drive down the road to be able to go do it. What this allows us to be able to do is it's a convenience. I will not lie in any way, shape, or form about that.
Take? Like, how big is a hot box?
It's not big, it's a trailer.
Oh, so we have.
What?
Well, it's basically a trailer.
Okay, my question is this, I didn't know what it was, and I asked how much it was, and you said, instead of paying a premium,
Yes,
so by having a hot box, we will be able to repair a pothole
yes, sir.
without paying a premium, but it's still temporary, because all patching is temporary, is that right?
No, sir, what I said is that we are paying, it's a premium to have the hot box.
Okay.
Because what you're allowing yourself to do is to be able to fix potholes throughout the year.
Thank you.
Right
I
now,
misunderstood.
we're at the leisure, and again, Rick, I appreciate, we'll follow up on the Buchanan asphalt plant to be able to find out about that. But outside of that situation, and the rarest occasion where you do have an asphalt plant that's making asphalt through the winter, you're stuck in a no man's land. And so from December 1st through middle of March, there may be, there was a 2-day window, I think about 6 weeks ago, at the middle of the first week of February, if I remember right, when it got a little warm, the asphalt plant's open, and that's where we went. We got 16 tons of asphalt that day, and we're able to utilize about 6. So we lost about 10 tons that day by doing that. But again, it's 6 tons, so that's 1,200 pounds of asphalt that you're shoveling out there to be able to go do it. What this allows us by having the hot box, it allows us to have a nicety where we don't have to suffer through having potholes in the middle of winter. If I get a day that it's 50 degrees tomorrow, I mean, it's going to be almost 70 tomorrow if I saw right. Tomorrow I could be out patching and be able to go do it. And I'll just be honest with you, when we patched that day in February, my team told me they're in line to be able to get it. And Tazewell has a hot box, Lebanon has a hot box, Bluefield has a hot box.
Well, by gosh, we need one.
And I'm not trying to suggest that
I'm
everybody else
teasing.
jumps off the
I'm
cliff.
teasing.
We're doing
We
the
got
same
it.
thing. But
Let's
if
go.
you notice, their towns right now, I drove through Tazewell this weekend, they have less. Now, they still have potholes. I mean, again, let's just be honest. Potholes are in existence, they're a matter of fact, in the months of February and March, because you're going to have snow and you're going to have potholes pop back out. What this does is it gives us a tool. One of the things you're going to hear from the Public Works team when we go to the strategic planning is that they're reliant on people and equipment. You either need an awful lot of equipment and less people, or you need a lot of people and less equipment. This finds that happy Goldilocks spot because now I can have 2 or 3 people that can run with that trailer and be able to go fix potholes as opposed to the 8 that I had to use that day when we went shoveling. So that allows me to be able to maneuver people around and be able to do that.
Do we have the money to do this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We have it in VDOT right
VDOT
now. I
money.
can
Well, I
look
want
at
to
that.
make it
So
a
we
safety
have-
thing too, because it's a lot safer.
Yes.
Because you got a square hole in the back, you stick a shovel in it and you throw it in a pothole. You ain't reaching up, and you don't have people climbing in trucks.
I feel better about
So, we're better off.
I have a question. How many ton does this hot
3
box
ton.
hold?
And that's 3 ton of hot. So again, that means that we're able to get half of what we got done in February with 1 trip with the hot box. Whereas we had to make 2 trips by 16 tons and we're really only able to use 6. We could do the same amount of work in the same day with half the people and probably in half the time.
I think it sounds tremendous. We have a motion on the floor in a second. Thank you. Yes,
So you have to take the hot box to the plant to get
Yes.
the asphalt?
Yes.
It's on the trailer.
yeah,
Right.
we're good. Thank you. Any further discussion? Maybe we have a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Okay, Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Jan. And
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Thank you, and thanks for the explanation. I did not know what that was.
I'm gonna keep on.
I
Thank
stood
you.
for a great education, and I appreciate it.
Well, and let me, Mayor,
yes.
if I could, I appreciate the trust that council's putting in us. You're giving us the ability to go and purchase a piece of equipment. I've told my team, when you allowed us to go and purchase mowing equipment last month when we did that, we had the F-550 that Friday. That Tuesday, Jason Shepard came pulling into town hall with a new F-550 with a trailer, with a ride behind and a 0 turn, and the next week he had the tractor. We're gonna mow. If you give me the ability to go and get this hot box, I can promise you this, and I don't promise things very often, there won't be major potholes in this town. We will do everything within our power to be able to do that. So I appreciate the trust. Thank you.
You're welcome. All relationships involve a great deal of faith, and we have that. Thank you. Okay, so do we get the roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Do we actually take the vote?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, well, it passed, done. I got lost in the discussion, I'm very sorry. My mind felt like a hot box. Okay, Rick, what else?
Did we take the roll call vote?
I don't recall that we did.
I'm pretty sure we did.
We did,
Okay, well,
because I was
no,
very
it's
happy when I said
Unanimous.
yes.
With
Thank
that-
you, council. It is unanimous. Yes, sir. Your next topic.
With that, I'm not saying nothing else because it costs too much when I talk.
What else?
It was a
Anything
good-
else?
I'm done.
Okay, I apologize, but I think the asphalt got too hot in my brain. Gary,
Yes. I only have a couple questions, maybe. The equipment that's sitting out at the police department now, is for auction
Yes,
or
sir.
for bids?
No, sir, I'm getting ready to auction it off.
What's the date on that auction?
We haven't set the date yet. I've still got to get all of it over there. We've gotten probably half of that equipment
Oh,
dragged
okay.
over there to be able to do it. So all of that equipment that was at the barn, with the exception of a few pieces of equipment, were just so far gone that you can barely recognize them as vehicles.
So you're getting the rest of it?
The rest are getting pushed over there, and we'll have, I should have dates for you here shortly to be able to do the surplus.
Okay. And, well, the other ones, just want to thank everybody and the employees, staff that's made these reports, like Laura and them said, a lot easier and better to understand as time has gone since I've been on council. They're getting better, and thank you for all you do.
thank you, Gary. Anyone else have any follow-ups before I get to my report? I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. Okay, here we go. Mayor comments. I'll make it brief. First, in your packet, there's an invitation from Richlands Elementary School for the art show and silent auction. It's Thursday, March 14th, from 4 to 6 p.m. These are the little artists at Richlands Elementary who are working very hard to display their talents. It is a matter of appreciating their art and also supporting them and the school in any way you possibly can. And that is, again, Thursday, March the 14th, this coming Thursday. Also a silent auction. So if you can possibly go, it'd be great. The kids love it. The next thing I want to mention, we've had a lot of talk tonight, and it's good, all good, about rec. And in my position now at Richlands Middle School, I cannot begin to tell you how many kids say, Mr. Curry, I can't work tonight because I'm going to the rec department. Don't give me any schoolwork. Also, don't give me any work on weekends because I don't work on weekends because they're going to the rec park. So I don't know where the happy medium is between the rec park and schoolwork. And Jason. But we must compliment the rec park for providing a place for children. And I mean, it's all the time. I hear it. And so that is important. And then the next thing, I don't have anything really earth-shattering to deliver tonight, but this coming Friday, is it March Madness? But it's also the Ides of March. Beware. The next, okay? Coming up on the 17th, I think, is St. Patrick's Day. So we're not doing beer, but you can put green color in your Kool-Aid. And the next thing coming up is spring, which I think is March 19th this year. It changes. And I remember that because my niece is born on the 21st, but she hasn't had a birthday on spring in quite a while. The next thing is my family history. I thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here and to be honored to be in this role and to have been part of this council for so long. And tonight, when I asked that pictures be taken of our police department and the council and those around here, I have been sitting here a long time. And I am so honored to have been here and look forward, hopefully, to being here. That being said, I look at you people, and I said it isn't just about publicity. This is a legacy. And I cannot begin to tell you all the people that I can remember sitting here or up here. We've changed the arrangement several times during COVID. We had it here, everywhere. And I don't recall ever having had a picture of the people at the table. And for posterity, we should do that. So, Rudy, since you're out there, would you mind to please come up and get somebody's camera? Susan, would you let him borrow your camera and take your phone? Would you mind to take a picture of these people, please? Thank you. There's a courtesy. And Susan, you can share that with your colleagues here in the town hall. It is a matter of posterity. We can't remember these people, but they have all given of their time and talents. Whether we like what they did or not, they've given of them, and we need to remember them. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. Right here, not us, those people. Yeah, thank you. And then don't give it up yet. Frank. Thank you. Thank you. There you go. You're tall. Thank you, Rudy. I really appreciate that. Susan, thank you. You can share that. It doesn't have to be on Facebook. It's not all that. It's about the personal relationships in life. And I believe in those. And I believe in remembering and honoring. And I thank you very much. And I thank this council for all the work that they do and all the thought that they give. I'm so grateful. And I see people here all the time. Thank you so much for attending and being a part of this public process. And so before I adjourn, I think our next actual work day will be the 23rd and possibly, which is a Saturday, at the Historic Crab Orchard Museum. I think it's a good idea to be off-site, off-campus, so to speak. It's a beautiful site, and I think we'll enjoy it and appreciate it. The next thing, we might have a special call meeting. We'll wait for our attorney to weigh in on that. And Jason, as you need me, call me, and I'll come to the town hall and sign that for a special call meeting. I think that's a good idea. Thank you. And to all of you, Laura, Jan, Jordan, Rick, and Gary, and Seth, who could not be with us tonight. He has a business occasion that he had to attend. We missed you. Thank you very much. Is there any further business to conduct? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Rick makes the motion, and Gary has the second. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.